Welcome to everyone. Would the clerk please call the roll to establish a quorum?
Thank you. Councilmember Ashby? Here. Councilmember Warren? Here. Councilmember Harris? Here. Vice Mayor Hansen? Councilmember Carr? Here. Councilmember Jennings? Here. Councilmember Guerra? Here. Councilmember Chenier? Here. And Mayor Steinberg?
Here. Thank you very much. I would ask, would the president of SEIU Local 1000, Yvonne Walker, mind leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
You should do it with her interns.
With your interns, please. Right? Yeah. Go ahead. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, good afternoon to everyone. The way we intend to proceed, let me first ask our city attorney whether she has any reports out of closed session.
There's nothing to report out.
Thank you very much. All right, the way we will start is with three special presentations, then the consent calendar, then public testimony on items not on the agenda, and then of course we will get to the public hearings and the discussion calendar. So let us begin with Councilmember Ashby, who has a special presentation.
Thank you, Mayor. So this will be, second or third year that I've done this presentation, and I cannot say any of the words. So I need you guys to come up and help me. If you can come up to the mic, maybe bring your whole group with you, if you would, please. Terry. And so the city manager, Howard Chan, and I have a number of friends in a very special community, and I really want to let them say a couple things about it. We have a resolution here for them, but I think what you're going to say is more important, so go ahead.
Hi, my name is Terry Gilmet, and I have Mike Riley right here with me, and Peter Autumn, and we have some other members of the myalgic encephalomyelitis community. We all share a devastating, debilitating, underserved disease, commonly known as chronic fatigue and often referred to as ME or ME/CFS. There are many misperceptions and stigmas attached to this disease, resulting in very mistaken beliefs about it. It's difficult to convey what it's like to have a stigmatized disease, which renders 75% of the patient population disabled. It also renders 25 of us bedbound with no medical supports, no FDA-approved meds, no biomarkers, no diagnostic tests, and ME is rarely touched on in medical school and is not being tracked by the public health department. Shockingly little funding is being dedicated to the discovery of a cure by the National Institutes of Health. Most of the research is being done by the scientific nonprofits. With only 12 ME specialists across the United States for 1 to 2.5 million of us, new people are developing this disease every day, and yet 84 to 94% of us have not been diagnosed. We are suffering, tucked away, living and dying with no supports in place. Thankfully, a measure was passed last summer by the state of California recognizing the month of May, and May 12th specifically, as our Awareness Month and Day for ME. Mike and Peter are involved in facilitating two groups here in Sacramento, Sac Valley CFIDS and Fibromyalgia, and Capital CFIDS, and it's invaluable to the patient community because we don't have any resources. So I'd like to commend both of them, as well as Julie Woodside, who was unable to be here tonight. I'd also like to tell you about an event, if I can. I'm not sure if I'm able to project that or not.
You got it just right.
Okay.
Turn it, yep, that's good.
There we go. Councilmember Angelique Ashby is hosting this wonderful awareness event in the chambers here this coming Saturday on our Awareness Day, and it is a film screening called Unrest. It's won numerous awards. It was shortlisted for a documentary, or for an Oscar, and we're also having a panel of speakers who are very much experts in our disease. And so they are really going to give a great understanding to the members that come and participate in this activity. It's open to everybody. Go to Eventbrite, please, and get your free tickets. I'm inviting all of the council members to please come. Please come and support our cause. And I just have to thank Councilmember Ashby so very much, and I'm so very appreciative for all of the support you have given my patient community that is unseen, unheard, and you're giving a voice to us, so thank you very much.
So I'm really excited about this because, as I told you, Howard and I each have some friends in this community, mine being Terry, and we last year were able to recognize them, and Howard did a great job of getting the parking garage lit up in the right color in honor, and I believe we're going to do that again this year. But we wanted to go one step farther, and this documentary follows a brilliant young woman who it's just devastating to watch her. She basically films herself over a period of time, and you see her perfectly healthy one moment and then just collapse. And it just goes on and on through her life. So I think this is a very informative piece, and we're going to show it right here in the council chambers, and I thought that was important as well. So Terry, I'm going to come down and give you guys this acknowledgement, and we can take a picture with whoever's here for you, and we'll leave that up because we want people to know that they're welcome to come, and we have extended that invitation to the community and outside of the community. And you asked me, my husband is an emergency room nurse, you asked me about his interest, and he did share an invite with this to the nursing system at Sutter Health. So hopefully some of them will come. And Mayor, you want to come down with me? It'd be great.
Yes, of course.
Howard's one.
Okay. Good. Thanks for educating us. Okay.
Made a friend. On your way back here. You see that dog follow the mayor up the stairs?
Well, thank you again for educating us and the public about a health condition that isn't talked about enough. We really appreciate it. We move on to our second presentation, and if I might ask my friends from both Planned Parenthood and SEIU Local 1000 and Jordan Perez and Michael Childs, the SEIU Local 1000 interns, 1,000 strong interns, to all come up to the podium here, if you would, please. Did I? Yep, so Jordan and Michael, pronouncing it correctly, are two of the hundreds of thousands strong interns here in our capital city. And I'm very grateful, by the way, that SEIU Local 1000, among other employers, took the leadership to help us launch this very ambitious effort. And so what I love about our community is that it's always about connections, and it's always about helping one another. So here's SEIU Local 1000, the leading public employee unions, not just in the state, but in the country, representing the majority of many of our constituents here in the city of Sacramento. We have Planned Parenthood, which is on the front lines of not only fighting for reproductive choice, but for health care for women and for people throughout our communities. Coming together with the youth at the forefront, 1,000 strong, recognizing Planned Parenthood Youth Programs Awareness Week. So why don't I turn it over to the young people for a few moments here, to Jordan and Michael, and tell us what all this means to you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor Steinberg and council
Why don't you
members.
step right in the middle so that you're speaking right between the two mics. There we go.
Oh, okay.
Good.
Sorry about that.
Good.
Good afternoon, Mayor Steinberg and council members. My name is Michael Childs. I am a senior at Hiram Johnson High School. In the fall, I plan on attending CSU Sacramento. Thank you.
Eric?
Thank you. I want to start off by saying thank you to Mayor Steinberg for the opportunity to be a part of the 1,000 Strong initiative. I've been with SEIU Local 1000 since September 2017. And in my time with the union, I've learned how to engage with my community, elected leaders, and community groups to create change. Today, we are here to honor Planned Parenthood's dedication to Sacramento's youth through its services and youth programs. This was my first time working on a proclamation, and the proclamation process was straightforward. I learned how a proclamation is drafted and all the behind-the-scenes actions and how all parties are involved. For example, I networked with Planned Parenthood, starting in a live chat service for teens, all the way to the Director of Education. This has been a tremendous learning experience for me, and I am grateful for this opportunity. I would also like to thank the leaders of SEIU Local 1000, specifically President Yvonne Walker. I would also like to thank all the people involved with the 1,000 Strong Initiative and Planned Parenthood for being our guests tonight. And last but not least, Tim Kammermeyer and Ashley Martinez for being there every step of the way and for giving us a challenge that was suitable for me and Jordan. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Very well said. Very articulate. Jordan?
Good afternoon, Mayor Steinberg and council members. My name is Jordan Perez, and I am also a senior at West Campus High School. I'll also be attending San Francisco State this fall. Since September, Michael and I have been interns with SEIU Local 1000 as a part of Mayor Steinberg's 1,000 Strong program. It has been an honor and a privilege to be a part of 1,000 Strong, which has provided us with real-world experiences and opportunities in the workforce. While working with our legislative department at Local 1000, we were given the opportunity to address a topic that affects us and especially our community. We chose Planned Parenthood because there are numerous programs that benefit kids just like us, and especially our community. There were so many programs with Planned Parenthood that we felt we needed to honor. Over the last 9 months, we've connected with many individuals and have done a lot of in-depth research, focusing on not only how bills become laws, but how proclamations come into effect. Today's proclamation was the foundation of our project. We would very much like to say thank you to everyone involved and for council members for listening to us today. I would also like to thank Local 1000's President Yvonne Walker for her support. Also, this proclamation would not have happened without the help of our colleagues at Local 1000, especially Tim and Ashley, everyone at Planned Parenthood who supported this, and Mayor Steinberg for giving us this opportunity. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Do you want to just introduce the young people, young people standing behind you here? Who you all are and...
Yeah.
That's okay. You all represent Planned Parenthood Miramonte, correct?
Correct.
Right. So I just want to welcome you as well, because this is a partnership. I'm just going to read the last two one whereas so that you get how all this fits together. Whereas Planned Parenthood Miramonte generates tremendous community support and involvement when they partner with community leaders and organizations like SEIU Local 1000 who share similar values. Now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the City of Sacramento that we do hereby recognize the week of May 6th to 12th, 2018 as Planned Parenthood Youth Programs Awareness Week in Sacramento and reaffirm our dedication to supporting the success of our youth. Partnership, connections, helping people, youth, is what Sacramento is all about. Thank you very much. I'd like to present you this resolution.
Thank you.
Of course. Nice to see you. How you doing? Nice, 1,000 strong. Thank you. Good to see you, man. So, how do we want to do this? Come right over here, guys, okay?
Hey, Ken, get this.
Do you want Yvonne and Tim?
No, but it should be them first. And their her mom, Jordan, on here.
Sounds good.
I took my pictures with them already, Mr. Mayor, but thank you. This is their day.
Thank you guys very much. I heard that. So, by the way, before we move to the next item, we have, I think, Erica Kasheri is here. I think we have 500 kids now signed up for beginning for the summer, this summer for 1,000 Strong for year-round paid work experience. We need more employers. 808-5300. Erica or Andrew Kehoe, call. Councilmember Chenier has stepped up. Capital Impact, his employer, his business. That's fabulous. Okay, thank you all. Let's move on to our last but not least presentation here, which is recognizing May as Building Safety Month. I turn it over to the Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor, and I'd like to invite up our Chief Building Official, Winfred DeLeon. Winfred, why don't you come join us at the podium? Building Safety Month recognizes the importance of building codes and standards. Many of us are familiar with the tragedy that happened in Oakland at the Ghost Ship, where many artists and others died during a fire because the building was unsafe. Thanks to your work, Winfred, and that of our city staff, we've largely prevented any situation like that in our city, and it's a testament to the hard work that you and the building community have put into our safety, and I'd just like to recognize with the Council Building Safety Month. Would you like to say a few words?
Sure. Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council. This year's theme is Building Code Saves Lives, and as Councilmember Hanson mentioned, that is our minimum requirements for building in the city. And the goal here is to keep our citizens, our buildings, and our infrastructure safe in this beautiful city. So this year we're actually doing a few outreach ideas during the month, and we are putting out a couple of building and safety videos out for the public to review and look at. We've also put out
One second, Winfred. Mayor, there's a lot of talking in the chamber.
I'm
Would
sorry.
you,
If we could,
Mr. Wake? Mr. Wake?
if we could please take any conversations outside, we'd sure appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Winfred, please continue.
Please go ahead. I'm sorry.
Thank you. So we are providing through social media things like checklists and tips for some of our citizens. We're also doing some videos on products that are out there that are new, such as PEX piping, The tankless water heaters are fairly popular. So those are some of the things that we're putting out there for the public. And we're also, for the first time, going to do a meet and greet staff so that citizens can come meet us, so they know who is part of the building division.
That's great. Keep us humming.
Thank you.
Good job. Thank you. All right, let us move now to the consent calendar. I want to, at the request of myself, actually, after consultation with Councilmember Carr and others, want to continue file item 3 for further consultation, if that's okay, on council rules and procedure. So let us, are there any? The consent calendar's been moved. And second, no other changes or removals. We do have a number of speakers on the consent calendar. How many?
I have 4 speakers.
4 speakers on the consent
So
calendar.
since item number 3 was continued, do you want to hold those?
Yeah, we will hold those. Those of you here on final item 3, we're not taking them up tonight, so.
Thank you. So I have one consent calendar item on number 25. It's Mitch, and it's Abdi Allah. I'm sure I got that incorrectly. Is Mitch here? On item 26?
On item 26? Is that that's
Not a consent.
That's not a consent item. So we have no testimony.
Testimony.
We have no testimony on the consent calendar. So we do have a motion and a second on the, yes, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to make
Councilmember.
sure on file item 25, does the amendment need to be read into the record, or is it fine as amended? I know there was a late submittal.
The supplement was delivered to council prior to the meeting.
Great, thank you.
So it's all incorporated. Okay. So the motion is to approve the consent calendar items 1 through 25 with the exception of item 3, which is being continued. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstain. That passes on a vote of 9 to nothing. We now go to public testimony on items not on the council agenda. Let us proceed.
Thank you. I have 26 speakers signed up to speak on matters not on the agenda. Just wanted to remind folks in the audience and watching from home, this meeting is being video streamed and can be viewed live on the city's website or later from the archive files. Members of the public who wish to address the council should complete a speaker slip, which can be found at the back of the room. And speaker slips do need to be turned in to the clerk prior to the beginning of each item. So that everyone has the opportunity to address the council. Members of the public are asked to observe the rules of decorum. The council rules of procedure outline decorum expected in the chambers and can be found on our website. The copy is in the back of the room and is summarized on the back of the speaker slip. For instance, use of swear words, yelling from the audience, physically threatening conduct, and displays of disrespect are discouraged. The presiding officer will request that a person cease disruptive conduct, and if not immediately stopped, the presiding officer will direct the person to leave the council meeting. Each speaker has 2 minutes to address the council. A cordless microphone or assisted listening device is available from the clerk. Do please silence your cell phones or other communication devices and refrain from using flash photography or lights on video equipment. And parking validations are also available from the clerk at the front of the room. So our first speakers are Eric Harden and Nia Moore-Weathers. Following Eric and Nia are Michael Voy, Juve, and then Ron Elmsley.
Good evening, good afternoon, Welcome.
Oh, hello.
Hello. Go ahead.
Okay, hello, thank you for having me. My name is Eric Harden. I'm a high school senior at Luther Burbank High School. I'm here on behalf of Youth Forward. I'm here to present my senior project on what I found about teen marijuana usage in our community. My partner and I, but he couldn't be here today, but my partner and I surveyed over 120 seniors, teens, adults, everything from as young to 13 to as old as 45. We felt the need to survey people so we could find out what people know about marijuana usage in the community and how they felt, how they saw it affecting their community. And the steps that we used to come upon this situation was we had to first we found out something that interested both of us, And then we have to find more places to meet, like host more events and meetings to have more people show and come support to help us and show that this matter is like very serious within the community. So this is one of the questions that was asked. It was, what do you think the money that is made from marijuana taxes should go to? About 107 people that surveyed, a lot of them said the money should go to homeless shelters, education, schools, college fairs, and like stuff like that. I feel they answered that way because you don't really see too many homeless shelters or colleges or college fairs within the community. So I feel they need more resources to like help them have a better future within themselves, because there's not too many resources to help them. And the second question. So this was another question. Oh, no.
It's not this one?
Oh. I'm running out of time.
I'll just close it then.
Oh. Well, that's all I have for you right now, but thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Okay, so your project again was to look into how marijuana tax revenue should be spent.
Yes.
Good, thank you. Well, we really appreciate it. Is the project complete?
No, sir.
Okay, so keep us updated. We'd like to see the final report and see what the students and others have to say on the subject.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for coming here. Really appreciate it. Okay.
Michael Voy is next, Juve, then Ron Elmsley.
Evening, Mayor, Council.
Good evening, Mr. Voy.
I was at speak about the last item from last week's council meeting, the characterization of $175,000 payment from the applicant for the cannabis event. I was utterly confused by the back and forth between the applicant and the council and council members. I was utterly confused, didn't even know what was going on. I came up with the idea that got this multiple choice question. Was it philanthropy, a bribe, extortion, or something else? I don't think that it wasn't philanthropy, because people that are giving money don't talk about suing if they don't get something. And it couldn't have been philanthropy from the other side, because people that are receiving philanthropy don't say, well, how do I know I'm going to get the check? So, is it a bribe? Well, there's quid pro quo. I don't know. Nobody cared. It wasn't characterized that way. And it was, to the mayor's credit, when that sort of vibe came up, he countered and parried that, as he did with the extortion idea. But the idea of extortion was initially a potential threat from the applicant himself. When things weren't going well, he started talking about litigation. That was parried. But then he became very submissive, and I'm wondering if extortion went back the other way from the council. So I don't know what it is, but the answer was drafted by the council 6-2. Who cares? It's not a perfect world. The check will be in the mail.
Thank you.
And next speaker is Juve, then Ron Elmsley, then Mackenzie Wilson.
Can we put that on the screen, please? Thank you. My name is Gervais. Afternoon, City Council and Mayor. You can tell the reason why I put that picture is because that was my brother that they two SOBs took away from me. Not away from only me, they took away from his cousin and his sons. And that's the thing. You guys always say, y'all want to sit up and do the right thing. Well, then do us a favor. On June 5th, vote for Noah Phillips, and let's put the convict killers behind bars. Because the way I see it, there's a saying, an eye for an eye, a tooth for the tooth. I got one message for the two killer cops. You took my brother and my best friend away from me. You gonna pay, sons. You may not be the Undertaker, but y'all two are dead, man, sons. Thank you.
is Ron Elmsley, Mackenzie Wilson, and then ID Rogers is Ron. There he is.
Things in Oak Park, when the weather heats up, violence occurs, and we've had our first gun murder this weekend, and these things aren't investigated too much. When they had a downturn in the economy, the first things that were cut were investigators, and you know, the fire department, they have in their contract a minimum staffing, but the police department does not. And it would be good, you know, people have spent money on the shot spotter, and I think there was some other organization that was supposed to target the people that were most likely to shoot. But there's a lack of bringing these people to justice. I remember in the 80s, I think it took something like 5 prostitutes got murdered in Oak Park. And finally they caught the guy, but the guy was not very swift. He kind of did himself in. But this lack of investigators in a area like Oak Park, I just don't think it should be that way. So I hope that you give enough staffing to the police to solve these murders. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Helmsley.
Our next speaker is Mackenzie Wilson, and it's either ID or LD Rogers, and then Robert Copeland.
So, I want to elevate, I'm losing my voice from yelling at you guys. I want to elevate Stefan Clark's name one more time for the brother in the back. And I want to double tap his ask for you to rescind your endorsement of Schubert and go for Noah Phillips, because Schubert is already arresting protesters. They've come to their houses, protesters, and arrested them for the name of Stefan Clark. So if any of those folks go to prison, I know who I'm coming for. I actually really came to talk to you guys about the treatment of activists. We had one arrested in here last week, but I want to tell you what you guys don't see happening outside of this room, and I want to tell you a little bit about your law enforcement and the activists in this community. Do you know that your law enforcement drives past my house 3 times a day? Do you guys know that I can't take my son to the park without having your bike cops tell my son hello and ask him how his day's doing?
Excuse me, sir. Can't shout out. If you do, I'm going to ask you to leave.
I am followed home from protests by your law enforcement. I am followed around town by your law enforcement. Activists are followed around town. They are harassed. They are winked at, smiled at. On a daily. This is a problem for me, because either you guys don't know and somebody needs to tell you, or you do know and you're part of that gang we call police up. Because you guys are either behind them doing it, or you're going to sit here and tell them to stop. I got 18 seconds and I'm down to hear an answer. Are you guys okay with them harassing us? Ordinary citizens? Every single day? And obviously we're not afraid, because we still show the fuck up.
Our next speaker is LD Rogers. LD Rogers. Going once. Robert Copeland. No, it says Rogers.
You walk out again?
It says ID Rogers. I don't believe that's you. ID Rogers.
Yeah. I can't hear you.
No, it's not. So Robert Copeland.
Do you know what the last line of the Pledge of Allegiance, justice for all? I don't see justice for all for the homeless population, for LB that got wrapped up by the police yet last week. I want an apology from the police and Vice Mayor Hanson, but I don't think I'll get it. And as far as the conduct of the city council, I think that's worse than the Cleveland Browns. And they're the worst team in the NFL for the last 2 years. So if it's worse than that, you're doing something bad. Why don't you treat us with respect? I don't see that. I see you playing favorites. Some people can go over 2 minutes. One time, I didn't even go 2 minutes, and Mayor Steinberg said my time was up. That is wrong, Mayor Steinberg. You want us to treat you with respect? You treat us with respect. Or you can step down as city council members. And we have both new people in. They will treat the public with respect. Why are you declaring war against your own people? Well, I don't hear that answer either. I don't think I'll get one. And as far as the police, they have no more rights than the average population. If they commit a crime or a shooting, they should be investigated, and they should not be on the job until they're cleared by a civilian review board, not their own board or internal affairs. You people disgust me. Thank you.
Speaker is Richard Wake. Mr. Wake? Richard Wake? Following Mr. Wake is Fago and then LB.
So I'm here this evening to elaborate more on all of your endorsements of Anne Marie Schubert. As I mentioned the last week, some of you that sit up here endorsed her the last time. And I won't go through all the reasons of why it's wrong for all of you to endorse her for the reasons, that are in regarding to Stefan Clark. I think that's obvious. But, after serving on the Central Committee for 24 years, I think I can make the following observations. It's an insult to all of those activists that go to the swearing-in ceremonies at the Memorial Auditorium that register the voters, that work the state fair booth to register the voters and sell the buttons and bumper stickers, to go to all the festivals like out in Elk Grove and the Chicken Festival in Fair Oaks, or the Martin Luther King March, or the Cesar Chavez March, that sell all the buttons and bumper stickers and do all the work of electing Democrats here in Sacramento. That's an insult to those people. And I'll tell you, I've seen none of you, maybe one or two of you on occasion, come to the new citizen swearing-in ceremonies to welcome the new American citizens. We do things like pass out American flags and do those things. I've never seen any of you contribute any money towards the state fair booth at the Democratic Party state fair booth to come out and volunteer at any of the festivals or anything. You guys have insulted the people from organized labor, the hardworking volunteers of the Democratic Central Committee, and the people that preceded other people that are on the Central Committee that serve with distinction and honor, like Rita Hodgkins and Virginia Moose. You guys need to rescind your endorsement of Anne Marie Schubert. You've insulted every hard-working Democrat that's on the Central Committee that does all these things. You guys really all ought to be ashamed of yourselves.
And next speaker is Fago, then LB, then Armando Flores.
What I find ironic is all of you were endorsed by the Democratic Party, which is why I will never vote for a Democrat again. With Democrats like you guys, we really don't need Republicans either. We don't need either Democrats or Republicans. Just get rid of both of them. Anyways, I digress. The actions of this council and Vice Mayor Hanson last week were appalling. Multiple times I've witnessed people having gone over their 2 minutes but saying things that the council agrees with, like promoting the Kings Arena or some big money interest group, get to go well over their 2 minutes. People that you know personally that seem to be friends of yours can go on for an extra 2 minutes at times, which I can tell because I'm sitting here recording this every week and watching it happen. So I've got people following this, watching this happen. And yet, a person reciting a poem goes a little bit over, 1, 2, 3, have her arrested. That is not equality, for one. And for two, how are you going to expect people to respect your decorum when you pick and choose when to enforce your decorum rules? Then there's the total disrespect to the public, as all of you are sitting here writing and reading and all around your phones, not paying attention to anything the public has to say. Yet, we're the people that vote. And I guarantee you, when it's time for re-election, I don't see barely anybody on this council that has enough support from the community based on your actions to be able to get re-elected again. In fact, I see opposition to each and every one of you from all over this city, and a lot of it. And guess what? It's based on your own actions, like endorsing a district attorney that's failing to prosecute the Nazi that stabbed people at the Capitol, despite there being footage. Like Russian TV's even showing the footage of that incident with Derek Pineo stabbing people. It was presented to the district attorney.
Fago, your 2
And
minutes
she
is complete.
refused
Will
to
you make your final
prosecute.
comment?
You're endorsing Nazi sympathy.
Our next speaker is LB. Next speaker is LB, Armando, then Greg Galvinovich.
You ready to throw me down again and slam me on the floor? Yeah, I'm back. So we must understand that whether or not we stand up or speak up, lives continue to be taken with impunity by the state. They give orders to the police and amplifying policing power to harm ordinary citizens. The police are protected from prosecution, many times due to separate bills of rights for law enforcement officers. We as ordinary citizens have been forced to stand in silence because we are accused of not complying when we are being abused. I have no regrets for what had been done, yet I'm at a loss and deeply saddened by what we have become, the abject surrender of who we could be as better human beings. Let's stop pretending as if this system cares. And I'm speaking to the people right here in the council. Let's stop pretending that their actions are legitimate, because they're not. The ones benefiting are not ignorant, but will continue to uphold this system. All who support the abuse of powers are culpable. We, the people, charge the lawmakers, the city council, the law enforcement officers with human rights abuse and murder. The ones who you trusted to be lawful and ethical have taken flight into comfort. The one like Daryl walking back there because he doesn't want to hear. The ones whom you thought you elected have turned their backs on the ones who suffered. When we only think of our own safety and comfort and neglect the oppression of others, we have betrayed justice and ourselves.
Thank
no
you
matter
for
the luxuries we've acquired.
your comments.
As long
Your time is up.
as there are people victimized under the system.
LB, your time is complete. My next speaker is Armando Flores.
If we think our work is complete.
My next speaker.
Mr. Flores, you're next.
Armando Flores, then Greg Galvinovich.
Hi, Council. I wish the mayor was here. It's funny how he left again. And I'm really embarrassed for you first for what you did, and for you women letting the policemen handle LB the way they did. One of you should have stood up. One of you city councilmen should have stood up and say, take care of this person, but take care of it properly. Not the way it happened. That's ridiculous. And that's done all over town. I see it every time I'm in this area of Sacramento, in the park and around City Hall. It happens the same way every single time. Police abuse is out of control. And you guys, you staring at me and you guys staring at me, you are letting it happen, including you. You should be all ashamed of yourself for what is going on. This is the people that you and Daryl are representing. These are the people that you are supposed to protect. Just wait when one of you grows, your children grow up, And there's a different council that is just as bad as you are. And your children happen to be us. Just wait. It will happen. You think you're invincible? You think that nothing's going to happen to you because you're up there today? You're not always going to be up there. You're not. You're going down really fast, all of you, because of your actions, because of your attitudes, because of you need to have some compassion. You are heartless people. Everyone sees that. And I'm glad that all this that happens here is televised because people get to see the real people that are up here, each one of you, and what you do to the people that are on this side of this.
No shouting from the audience, please.
Thank you.
Mr. Flores. Mr. Galvanovich. Mr. Galvanovich, you're next.
3 topics, maybe I just do one. Urinating in public. I was in Manhattan once and I paid $13 for food at a Chinese restaurant. I was not hungry. I just wanted to use the bathroom. I did not eat any of the food. I signed up at 24-Hour Fitness recently because I just want to be able to use the bathroom around town. I've signed up at Capital Athletic Club. I've signed up at California Family Fitness, Planet Fitness. You can't use a bathroom unless you're a customer. I went to a restaurant at Alta Arden in Fulton, California Cuisine Pizza Kitchen, something like that. And he wouldn't let me use the bathroom. He said he lost the key, or he forgot the key. I went across the street where I usually go to the bathroom. They never bother me. And because of that, I bought an expensive piece of artwork there, and I could not afford it. Then I went back to eat the pizza, and a dolly shows up with a load of materials, and the guy had the key to let him inside the gate where the bathroom was, so he was lying. He had the key to the bathroom. When you're 62 years old, you got to go to the bathroom every 30 minutes. It takes me an hour and a half to walk to the synagogue. If I take 2 buses, it's an hour and a half. And that means I got to go 3 times to the bathroom to get to morning minyan, and there's no place to go. I got 25 seconds. Not enough for health care premiums. We'll work on that next time.
We have 13 more speakers.
My next speaker is Brenda Anderson, Chris Rogers, then Karen Corbs.
Hello, my name is Brenda Anderson. I'm a private citizen. I'm not associated with anyone, just a private advocate. I'm returning here again in order to keep hope alive and to save lives. I would like to see a plan of action placed on your agenda for social change for at-risk youth, all ethnic groups. The rainbow of young people that were here today tells me you can do it. I applaud you and I applaud them. It does a heart good. And I require more the same. That's your charge. That's who you are. That's what you do. And that's what I'm asking of you because I believe you can. I do it, come here and say this because I care very deeply. I went to the senior rally and I was thinking, I want these young people to come to the senior rally as seniors. I don't want them to perish along the way. And it's important. I hope it's important to you too. I want you to know that I want to sit here on the bus. I'm not Rosa Parks, but I want to get stubborn and sit here again and again and again until we can get some kind of plan of action on the agenda, just a step. You can't come out with a whole schematic chart, but some initiative that would show you are looking into it, that would give maybe some pain and frustration, a little bit of a relief. I'm witnessing a lot of that here tonight.
Ms. Anderson, your time is complete. Will you make your final comment?
He's not heavy. He's my brother.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson.
Our next speaker is Chris Rogers, and Karen Corbs, and then Suzanne Hastings.
We have 12 more speakers.
Yeah, there you go.
Perfect, thank you. Good evening, Mr. Vice Mayor and City Council. Although my neighbors and I left early last 2 weeks ago, we did watch the rest of the meeting at our homes, including the whole person care presentation and the mayor's comments to Emily Halcon. One point the mayor made was communication support of neighbors in geographical hotspots. Thank you for recognizing our neighbors need better communication from city departments. That very week, I found an example of how communication with the community could support this topic. Here's Mr. James Evans. While walking my dog to pick up my child from school, I found him in front of Vic's Ice Cream on Riverside, panhandling and tossing stuff around the ground. He was also carrying a nice outdoor pillow I later found out had been taken from a neighbor's porch, and I called the police to send an outreach person. When I walked back by, he was still there and no police. So I decided to see how effective the current process is. So I drove back later and found Mr. Evans walking up driveways, going through trash, collecting mail off porches, hanging out in front porches, and throwing garbage around. Here's a timeline for you. After about an hour and keeping a non-emergency team informed where he was, the police finally showed up to see Mr. Evans resting on someone's porch and tossing trash around. They spoke to him but had to let him go because he had no priors. There was nothing I could do at that point and went home. The next day, a neighbor posted that a man fitting the exact description of Mr. Evans was still involved in the same activity, dumping trash and destroying property. Police came again, handcuffed him at 5 a.m., but after speaking to him, let him go again. So who can I call? The police are bound by the law, so contacting them is proving ineffective. If Mr. Evans doesn't accept services, he is just let go. Where are the professional paid mental health outreach people who can come out and speak to Mr. Evans? Just as you explained to Ms. Halcong last week, we need to see the change in our own neighborhoods. You made another good point. Why would citizens vote yes on any initiative that raises money until we see how well the city manages the money it already has? Yes, this is a tough conversation and we must continue to have it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And next speaker is Karen Corbs, then Suzanne Hastings, then Les Light.
Welcome, Ms. Corbs.
Mr. Vice Mayor and City Council, I'm here tonight to talk once again about the deterioration of and the devastation to my Lamb Park neighborhood. As you know, I've been here in the past to talk about the abundance of homeless drug addicts buying and selling drugs along the Broadway and X corridor, and the neighborhood theft that takes place on a daily basis. Who are these people that are committing these crimes, and why all of a sudden are they here? I moved to Lamb Park 22 years ago because of the beautiful surroundings and the safe neighborhood. Things started to change at the end of 2014, the beginning of 2015. This is when Prop 47 passed. A coincidence? I don't think so. Then to add insult to injury, about 2 years later, Prop 57 passed. Clearly, these propositions have been a failure to the residents of California and to my neighborhood. When Prop 47 passed, it raised the theft dollar amount to $950 for theft to be considered a felony. As a result, there's been an explosion in serial thefts and an inability of law enforcement to prosecute these crimes effectively. Keep California Safe is a ballot initiative that would authorize felony charges to be made for serial theft if a criminal is caught for a third time stealing items valued over $250, like all the stolen bicycles you see in these pictures.
Homeless were there before you. Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Excuse me.
The
No
petty
shouting
theft
out
in
from
our
the
Lamb
audience,
Park
please.
neighborhood is out of control by the drug-addicted homeless that troll our neighborhood at night. Then we have Prop 57, which is allowing early release of prisoners for nonviolent crimes.
Mackenzie.
Nonviolent crimes like human
Mackenzie, you're not allowed
trafficking of
to
a
shout out.
child, rape of an unconscious person.
I'm sorry, Ms. Corbs, can we pause her town? Mackenzie, thank you. All right, Ms. Corbs. Mackenzie, you've been warned.
Gentrification will not happen in Sacramento.
Mackenzie. I'll remind the audience of our rules of decorum that the clerk read earlier. No shouting from the audience and no profanity. It won't be tolerated in the chamber. Ms. Corbs, please continue.
Non-violent crimes like human trafficking of a child, rape of an unconscious person, assaulting a police officer, a felony hate crime are just a few. Currently, these crimes are considered non-violent under current California law, allowing inmates convicted of these crimes to be released from prison early. The Keep California Safe Act would stop early release of these criminals by making these crimes violent. Mr. Vice Mayor and City Council, I ask you, did you sign the petition and support the Keep California Safe initiative?
Thank you for your comments, Ms. Corbs. Your time is up.
Your constituents would like to know.
Thank you. Suzanne Hastings is our next speaker, then Les Light, then David Jackson. Suzanne? There she is. Thank you.
Good evening. I'd like to read a poem that was written by my friend Delby. And in times of war, they don't ask for permission. In times of war, murderers, assassins, rapists are exempt from prosecution. Women, children, elders are collateral damage. In time of war, cries of hunger are unheard. In times of war, the rich are preferred and safe in their homes, safe from the storms. The poor, undesirables, are vilified and hated. They are blamed for spiritual failings, demonized for their afflictions, as they sleep in the rain, away from view, hidden from moral citizens. In times of war, the gods are silent or become background noise, only to be summoned when death is near. Fear is striking the heart when we are spiritually dying. In times of war, there are no ceremonies, no flowers. The dead are sometimes unburied, eyes open to the empty and responsive skies. In times of death, brothers turn against each other, fighting for the humanity that has taken flight, desperately hoping for salvation. The blood flows like an angry, raging river. Tears follow thereafter, washing the wounds we inflict on each other. We gain nothing but recognition. The demons, the saint, the victim, the hero. The stories repeat, the characters change. We slowly learn our cures. We play all the parts of the same game. Each role fits in the nearly depending on the story, which story is told. We are told we could change. There is hope and there is future for the innocents. We quietly comply without sound, marching somberly as we face the chasm of their deathless gaze. The war has raged in our consciousness, making cowards out of good men and women. We have been at war, my friends, enemies, brothers and sisters. We want the promised land. Our hearts are never content. We will grieve endlessly as long as the war has no end. Paradise is our burden to bear, when hope is the greatest torture. Winning is never fair. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hastings. Next speaker is Les Light. Is Les Light here? Following Mr. Light is David Jackson, then David Andre.
So I think a few weeks back, some of us went to the Reconnect Prosperity event, and it was interesting, and we were struck by the weak performance of our economic strategies for economic inclusion and desegregating Sacramento. When some communities are excluded from resources and opportunities, it hurts the whole city. So let's talk about some alternatives. We might want to look at the Cooperation Jackson movement in Jackson, Mississippi. Their object is democratizing the local economy, building a federation of worker-owned cooperatives, including setting up cooperatively worked urban farms, towards making Jackson a food sovereign city. This movement is also devoting enormous effort to developing community land trusts for turning inner city lots and parcels into community gardens and land for affordable housing for the public, with an Eco Village project in inner city West Jackson. The Cooperation Jackson movement is innovating in construction of affordable public cooperative housing units using digital fabrication tools and technology they developed in their Center for Community Production in West Jackson. The foundation of the Cooperation Jackson movement is in organizing of popular assemblies, which are now able to assert popular political participation in the budgeting of municipal revenue and resources to policies which real public needs and cooperative enterprises which prioritize these needs are possible. Also out of this, they've created what they call security cooperatives. as an actual and practical alternative to carceral policing in inner city West Jackson, Mississippi.
Mr. Light, your time is complete. Thank you. Our next speaker is David Jackson, then David Andre, and Alexander Clark. We have 9 more speakers this afternoon.
I've been attending these proceedings for several years now, never came up and spoke before because frankly, what's the point? I know that this body I'm looking at does not care. I know that you are propped up puppets of big money. I see you guys, you sit there, you smirk, you look bored, you have your little side conversations. Been watching you do it for years, okay? You know, so I never saw much point in coming up and speaking to you because it's a waste of time. But when I saw the way your goon squad manhandled LB here, a 4'9" woman, I had to come up here and say, shame on you all. Shame. And I don't even want the rest of my time.
Next speaker is David Andre, then Alexander Clark, and then Matthew Gaston.
Good evening. This is the poem that LB was written right before she was reading that right before she was manhandled. I was sitting right there. There's no reason for that. She leaves every time. But it's indicative of how the police in this city treat people. It's very hands-on. They go straight from finding a reason that they can go after you to pain holds and trying to dislocate your shoulder. It's quickly like that. That happened with the lady reading a poem. Out on the streets, it's way better. We know in the case of Stefan Clark and young black man that this happens at the end of a police bullet. It's all part of the same problem. We need to have some type of morals in this city. We need to have use of force that makes sense. Not this strong-arming thing, not this bullying. People are getting killed. People are traumatized even more. We should be a city of healing. We're the state capital. We have something to live up to here. We can do better. Thank you.
Next speaker is Alexander Clark, then Matthew Gaston, and then Kevin Carter.
Give me a second. Hold on. Take that back. Take that back. I didn't even say a motherfucking word yet. You started my time?
Excuse me. You're not going to use profanity in these chambers. If you use it again, I'm going to ask you to leave. You're not coming here every week to do that.
Thank you. Give me back. Respect my time. Let me take my breath real quick, and let me get this out. Let me just get this out real quick.
One more time.
One more breath.
Go ahead. You've been warned.
Look, let me tell you like this, Mayor. First of all, I don't respect you. I'm going to tell you why I don't respect you. Because I've been walking Sacramento streets for a long time. And quite frankly, somewhere in your puny ass little head that you don't care about your people. No, hold on, wait, bro, it's a freedom of speech. Don't try to cut me off, because you're going to have to listen to what I got to say regardless of anyways. You know what I'm saying? Now let me tell you like this, bro. You don't care about the people. Neither one of y'all care about the people. Don't none of y'all care about Stefan Clark. Don't none of y'all. Otherwise, y'all have been holding them officers accountable. Here, y'all sit here, y'all study promoting, what's her name, Schubert, right? Why ain't she convicting those police officers that killed Stefan Clark? You hear what I'm saying? This shit's been going on since the 1980s, bro. 1812, COINTELPRO, the CIA, cracking America. Oh, to answer your question, that's where it comes from. It comes from your own people. CIA stands for cracking America. See, what your job was to take crack and pump them in poor black communities so that y'all can dope our own people. So that y'all get us hooked on these goddamn drugs that y'all put in our communities. Y'all put these guns there. What y'all think is gonna happen? Y'all put these drugs there. What do you think gonna happen? We gonna utilize what y'all put in our community and sell it back to y'all people. Let me tell y'all like this, man. Y'all are the reason why everybody are going through what they're going through. Everybody are going through what they're going through because of y'all. Because y'all don't have a self-dignity to stand up for shit. That's right. And just like that sister said, whoever said it, if y'all don't do your job, it's the only people obligation is to vote these motherfuckers down.
I warned you. No, I warned you once.
Wait a minute, man. Fuck you. You don't listen to what I say, man, peasant.
Take him out.
Fuck you, peasant.
You're removed.
Fuck you, peasant.
You are removed.
Don't touch me, but fuck you.
You're removed. You leave now, or we're gonna take you out. Get out.
take who down? Oh, you tough.
Removed. Thank you. That's it. You cannot use profanity in the chamber, sir.
You so tough.
Right. Next.
That shows y'all.
Matthew Gaston.
They sit there allowing these police officers to put their hands on our women.
Please leave now. Please leave
fuck
now.
you.
Please.
I served for this country.
Please leave
I
now.
served for this goddamn country.
Please leave
I
now.
have friends who died on the front lines for this shit.
Leave now.
No, you're not going to arrest me.
Please
Because
leave
fuck
now.
y'all. My friends died on the front lines for you motherfuckers. Over in Afghanistan, over in Iraq. God damn it, long live the Black Panther Party.
Okay, it's okay. Officers, it's okay. Let him go out voluntarily, please. Please let him go out. Okay, goodbye.
And fuck y'all. Now what? And I'm still gonna talk. Fuck y'all. I can't silence the people. You fake motherfuckers.
Next.
I have 6 more speakers for matters not on the agenda. The next is Matthew Gaston, Kevin Carter, then Lorraine Frias.
Now go sit back down. You want to know my name so bad? Let's talk.
So that everyone has the opportunity to be heard, we would appreciate not yelling out from the audience. Mr. Gaston?
I would appreciate if the mayor sat back down so I could speak to him. He wants to know my name so bad. You keep saying it. Nah, man, let the mayor sit there. What are you doing?
Please proceed with your comments.
I would like to.
Your time is running.
It shouldn't be.
It should be. We've called
Why?
your name.
I haven't been able to speak. You're speaking in my place right now. Could you reset my time, please? Could you reset my time, please?
No, your time started when you were called.
That's how they do to people? That's how they do to people? What are y'all here for?
Sir, please make your comments.
I'm asking a question. Can I ask questions here? Can you guys answer questions here? Or do you guys just tell people to leave when they don't?
We're not allowed to respond to questions during the
But
public
you just
comment
respond to
period.
negativity, but I can't ask you a regular question? Like, what's the point? What are the point of you guys then?
Sir, please make your comments to the council.
I am making my comments to the council. Like, what is the point of a city council if you guys don't, like, you guys don't speak to the people, you guys don't answer questions for the people, you guys don't help people? Like, what is the point of you guys? Right? Isn't that your job, city council? Like, you guys counsel the city. We're the city. So when are you guys gonna do something? He's gonna sit there with your, he's gonna, fuck it, he's gonna waste our time today then. Look at these people, man. Look at these people. Look at that. Look at that face. I wish I could show y'all faces right now. Look at that shit. You look.
Sir, please do not use profanity in the chamber.
Oh, what?
Do not use profanity in the chamber, please.
I'm gonna be that. Hey, never grow up. Never grow up. I'll be that. I'm gonna get my 23 seconds because it's like, really the problem is you guys just sit here and you guys don't even try to listen. You guys just basically do whatever you can to ignore people and you guys don't hear what our problems are and that's why nothing gets done. You guys just ordered the police to try to hurt somebody just now. You just told him, he said they're gonna take you out, not escort you out, not get you out of the
Gaston,
building,
your time is
but
expired.
take you out. Like,
Mr. Gaston, your time is
yeah,
expired.
you guys.
Sir, your time is up.
My next speaker is Kevin Carter.
Mr. Carter, you're next. Welcome, Mr. Carter.
Next speaker is Kevin Carter, then Lorraine Frias, and then Malachi Amen.
I just want to catch my breath for a minute here. I'm Brother Carter, and I'm with the Poor People's Campaign, not on the local level to speak, but I'm now on the national and state moral revival of the Poor People's Campaign. I work with Reverend Theo Harris and Bishop William Barber, and I'm coming in representation of the national campaign. And it's very important that I give the enlightenment to here to the city of Sacramento because the state movement will be here next week. And it's important because everything that you are hearing here tonight, this frustration that is taking place, holds 3 pillars of systemic racism, poverty, ecological devastation, the war economy. That's what you hear tonight. The frustration, the entrapment of what Dr. King talked about in apathy and not becoming maladjusted to these things, which I have been across the region of this state and talked to the last place in Fresno, which is #1 in poverty in the nation, and Bakersfield is #2 in poverty in the nation. And they're all coming here to cash a check at our state's capital for the next 6 weeks, 40 days, to talk about these solutions where 7,000 people can fill up the city of Roseville
Mr.
along
Carter,
the
your time is
freeways.
complete.
I just want our city
Carter?
council to know this. I didn't come here to disrespect. I know my time is up.
Thank you, Mr. Carter.
But
Our
I
next
want
speaker is
our
Lorraine
mayor to
Frias.
know these things, and Alan Warren could tell you, I'm not here to disrupt, but I want our city to know what's coming ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Why
Carter.
these-
Your time
why
is
these
complete.
frustrations are here, and it's going to get more frustrated. So we need to become a little bit more empathy with the people here.
Mr. Carter, your 2 minutes is complete.
Now, I
Thank
know my
you.
2 minutes is up, but we
Our
need a
next
little bit more
speaker
than
is
just 2
Lorraine
minutes.
Frias.
We need a little bit more than just 2 minutes. We need to be a little bit more sympathetic.
Ms. Frias, it's your turn.
I'm just here to support my friend LB, who shows dedication in our community all the time. We've had speakers speak out of turn today after 2 minutes, bigger than her, and she was treated like an animal last week, brought out of here. So I just want to put that out there. I'm done asking for justice from government. There's no justice that we've never had. We've never had justice. We've never had equality. So that's kind of just out the window. But I'd like to say, could you just treat us like human beings? Could you just treat us like we actually walk and breathe? Could you treat us like if we have families and children and grandparents, and that we also, just because we don't carry a gun and a badge, that we care for our fellow human beings? That's what we're asking. Just give us, I don't even want your respect. I have none for you, so I'm not asking for yours. But I am saying...
That says it all, doesn't it?
It really does.
Yes, it does.
And
Thank you.
I am saying also that even though I might not respect you, if I had to, I'd still have to work with you to make things right. But you guys are not working with us to make things right. Dead squirrel.
Our next speaker is Malachi Amen, then Bob Anderson, then Mary Tapple. Malachi Amen.
She okay?
She purposely fell.
Mr. Amen.
5 more seconds. Yeah, she has seconds.
Okay.
Thank you, Malachi.
3, 2, 1.
That's how we all feel.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I'm Malachi Amen, head of the California Urban Partnership, also part of the Build Black Coalition. And here again, just to kind of remind you that before the November 28th vote, council voted unanimously on the core program, Cannabis Opportunity Reinvestment and Equity Program. You said, Mr. Mayor, and so did you, Mr. J. Chenier, you said that this was just a start. You said that we can change the implementation of the Cannabis Equity Program if it were not working. But we're now again coming before, just in good faith, to say, we want to work with the council. We believe in democracy. And I would like us to continue to not just meet back and forth,
but actually get some of the work done so that the families whose lives were destroyed, the children who were traumatized, the neighborhoods that were gentrified can be made whole. And we can't pretend like marijuana doesn't have a racialized history. We asked for a study to be completed last year, and now this year, a study still hasn't been completed on a social equity analysis, but now we're moving forward in such a way that would ignore all of the social equity issues without having criteria that match the problems that we're trying to solve. And so we're really needing the city to be unequivocal about this, and we would like to meet with you again.
Yes.
And so that's why I've come here. Normally I wouldn't come here, but
Amend, your 2 minutes
Yeah.
is complete.
Thanks,
Thank
of course,
you.
Malika. Okay, thank you.
Next speaker is Bob Anderson, then Mary E. Tapple.
I realize just about anything I'm going to say doesn't make any difference. Because you guys listen to probably a third or less of what's said in this chamber, and hear even less than that. Talking about decorum, swear words are just words. It's a means of expression. Where do you draw the line? Because I've seen Angelique Ashby, and I've seen Alan Wayne Warren right now, and Jeff Harris eating. There's a sign out that says no food or drink in the chamber. Why is it, again, you guys you're like a Western bar fight on a movie. It looks like a real fight, and it looks like you're really working, but it's all been choreographed and all been agreed to, and nobody gets hurt because of the way it's done and the way it's shot. So anyhow, I've been doing some research, and I was trying to understand the separation between church and state. And I'm Catholic myself. This is St. Peter. But I have discovered there is a new religion in town. Asholians are devout imbeciles that love the sound of their own voices and are often clueless to everyone but themselves. Taking credit for others' work and efforts are a hallmark of their faith. Many of them frequently sustain injured and broken arms from patting themselves on the back with self-inflated sense of contribution and importance. Their love and twisted desire for making others' lives miserable with their moral certitude, coupled with outright evil conduct, is the foundation of their beliefs. Here's their patron saint, Saint Asholius. Now,
Mr. Anderson, your 2 minutes is complete. Thank you. Our last speaker for tonight is Mary E. Tapple.
Yes.
Mayor Steinberg, members of the council, I'm here to once again thank you for your endorsement of our current district, those of you who have endorsed our current district attorney, Anne Marie Schubert, for re-election. And I wanted to talk a little bit about her citizen and youth outreach programs, which are many, I heard recently.
I don't think we don't want to get into anything that could be a campaign one way or the other on this, please, okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
I
That's
just
okay.
want to make
That's for outside the chambers.
Okay.
Okay?
I want to say that she has a lot of outreach programs, and obviously the ones that have recently been expanded due to requests for more of the Citizens Academies. This is a 12-week academy that can also be expanded. Is that okay to say?
Yeah,
No.
I think, what do you want to address the council beyond the
That we all need
political campaign?
to work against youth violence and the 114 teens that have been killed in the 10-year period between June 2007.
Let the speaker speak. Who's yelling out? If I catch you, you're going to be out. I didn't see who it was. We're going to ask you to leave. It's rude. This speaker has every bit the same right to speak as you do, and please give her that respect. Go ahead. You get the time that you
Okay,
need.
the 114 teens that were killed due to youth violence, most of them shot. A lot of the cases not closed. Their families deserve justice too. These teens were only between 15 and 19 years old, spread all over the county, but the vast majority of them are young people of color. Most of them are Hispanic male youth and African American male youth. And this is a tragedy, and it's related to a lot of domestic violence and violence in the youth gang situation. And we all need to intervene when we can and continue to oppose violence, no matter where it comes from. Everybody who's able to intervene has a responsibility, a civic responsibility and a moral responsibility to intervene, to let people have a life beyond age 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and so on up. So I don't want people to lose track of the families and the friends of the 114 teens killed also by violence need to get their chance for justice, their chance for sympathy, their chance to mourn and know that their children have not been forgotten by the rest of the community. Thank you very much.
Ms. Tappel. Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor, I have no more speakers.
Okay, very good. Thank you. We will now move to the public hearings. We do have one public hearing, and that is file item 26, dealing with Del Paso Boulevard. Is there a staff presentation on this or not? Is Councilmember Warren?
So, and for the record, I believe. For the record, I believe Councilmember Warren is recusing himself from this item, so he should leave the dais at this time.
He should leave the dais. Councilman Warren? I think you need to leave the dais. No, absolutely not.
Ready?
Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor Steinberg and members of the council. At the City Council meeting of January 24th, Councilmember Warren did express concerns regarding the cultivation of cannabis in the Del Paso Boulevard Ardenway Special Planning District. His concern is that cultivation on properties that front on Ardenway and Del Paso Boulevard is contrary to several of the goals of the SPD to activate the area for commercial uses. In February, the council initiated proceedings to amend the text of the SPD to prohibit the cultivation of cannabis on property that fronts on these two streets in the SPD area. The proposed ordinance was reviewed by the Planning and Design Commission in March. The commission was hesitant to change the current process absent a comprehensive study of other commercial corridors and SPDs. So the commission, by a vote of 9 ayes, 2 noes, and 1 absent, voted to recommend denial of the proposed ordinance, and that's a recommendation to you. But the item was also reviewed by the Law and Legislation Committee on April 24th. The committee listened to testimony by business and neighborhood groups in favor of the proposed amendment to the code. Testimony was also given by the public in support of a change that would permit the location of tobacco sales in the SPD area. It was expressed that the belief that certain tobacco-related uses would be supportive of the goals of the SPD to activate the commercial area. The committee, by a vote of 3 ayes and 1 absent, voted to recommend approval of the proposed ordinance prohibiting cannabis cultivation in the SPD area with an additional code amendment that tobacco sales be removed from the prohibited list and added as a permitted use subject to conditional use permit review and approval. The committee also recommended, to address the concerns of the Planning and Design Commission, that the topic of cultivation on commercial corridors be placed on agendas of upcoming stakeholder meetings that are conducted by the City Office of Cannabis Policy and Enforcement. The ordinance before you has the changes as recommended by the Law and Legislation Committee. There is a typographical area in the change. In the ordinance, I'd like to read an amendment into the record. In section 2 of the ordinance, it's basically adding where it says A, B, and C, it says B, C, and D. So in Section 2 of the ordinance, subsection A1 of Section 17.424.060 of the code should be amended to add subsection D to the first line. And in Section 3 of the ordinance, subsection A1 of Section 17.424.070 of the Sacramento City Code should be amended to add subsection D to the first line. That concludes my presentation.
Okay, we do have 4 members of the public who want to testify on this matter. So let's hear from them, and then we'll turn it over to the members of the City Council.
The first speaker is Mitch Abdallah, then David Flagg, then Daryl Roberts, and then Nick Advis.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. My name is Mitch Abdallah. I represent Stella Ma, who earlier this year purchased a property at 1001 Del Paso Boulevard for the purpose of cultivating cannabis. As far as I can tell, it's the only application for cultivation on Del Paso Boulevard. The property is a large commercial structure that's been sitting vacant for many years and before Stella bought the property. Stella purchased the property only after checking first with the city if it would qualify under the cultivation code and ordinance, which it does. Now, by this proposed ordinance amendment, the city will foreclose on the very use that Stella intended. Ladies and gentlemen, you, along with staff, worked tirelessly to produce what I believe is the best cannabis ordinance in the state of California. The existing ordinance requires each project to go through a stringent administrative oversight and public review. Now, the amendment in front of you today is significantly flawed in 3 aspects, and I'd like you to consider these points not necessarily as a collective body, but as independent thought. First, the amendment is extremely under-inclusive in that it does not include laboratories, manufacturing, distribution, and retail. It simply singles out cultivation, on the assumption that cultivation alone detracts from the goals of increasing arts, entertainment, and retail. However, there's no rational relationship to carve out only cultivation from the ordinance because manufacturing and laboratories, for example, house raw cannabis, have no public access to people, and do not contribute to the arts. Second, the amendment is an unnecessary layer of legislation. Ooh, I'm getting short. There's already a public process in place. Council has spoken on this, on what type and where. Will I get a few more seconds? I
do have
2
2
more
minutes.
points.
Do you have a letter that you want to submit for the record?
I could submit this notification.
I think if you would, I think that would be great. I know that
For 30 seconds more would get me through.
How many?
30 seconds more.
We can't allow that, I'm sorry.
We have to be consistent, sir. But if you give us,
Thank you.
if you give us the, hold on, if you give us the materials, we'll put in the record and actually look at. I understand you're representing a client who may be affected by the ordinance, and you're making a substantive and a potential legal argument. You want to make sure it's in the record, and I also hear your argument. So.
Okay. The one thing that I would say, Mayor,
Sir,
is
we have to be consistent with every speaker,
It'll
so I
be quick.
apologize.
We are gonna do this-
Our next speaker is David Flagg.
Pardon? We're going to do 2 retail storefronts.
I understand.
Make the,
Okay,
Thank you. Our next speaker
Now,
is
if you can
David
take the
Flagg,
letter and
then
get it to
Daryl
me.
Roberts.
please.
Thank you for your time.
Thank
Council.
you.
David Flagg.
Good evening. My name is David Flagg. I'm the Executive Director with the Del Paso Boulevard Partnership. The amendments to the Special Planning District before you today are consistent with the goals and the objectives of the partnership. We've worked closely with Councilmember Warren to develop this area, and we have made great strides. Allowing cannabis cultivation with buildings that have darkened windows, no retail component, or foot traffic along this economic corridor will only discourage growth and is inconsistent with the city's master plan and the business attraction study done by the city in 2011. We have a new grocery outlet that's scheduled to open in September. We have a new sushi restaurant that is opening in the next couple of months. We have new entertainment facilities that have already changed the landscape of the area. The city has put millions of dollars into the streetscape for Del Paso Boulevard, allowing buildings that are designed with no retail component will only hinder or stymie the progress that is made so far. I request that you support the staff's recommendation and to prohibit the cannabis cultivation along Del Paso Boulevard and Arden Way in the Special Planning District. Can I just make one point too, and this is just a personal point, but I truly apologize for what you guys are facing. It's not right. It's not right for the council as a whole. It's not right for you, Mayor, and I feel bad for you. And I'm sorry.
We signed up, and it's democracy.
I know, but I'm saying
I
this
do
is,
appreciate it.
This
Thank
is
you.
worse than I've ever seen it, and that's
well,
wrong.
and we're also enforcing the rules of the chamber, and people who can't abide by it are asked to leave. But I appreciate it. Thank you.
And next speaker is
you.
Daryl Roberts, and then Nick Avdis.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council, city manager. My name is Daryl Roberts. I was here to speak at the public section of comments, but I was told when I came in, I was in the hall when you started the agenda items. I wrote my name and came down, and by the time I got here, the public comments had started. And I was told at that time by our clerk, assistant clerk, that it couldn't be put on that item.
That is correct, sir. When speaker slips are turned in before the item starts, and that's in our rules of procedure.
There's absolutely nothing.
I'd be happy to email you the rules of procedure.
No, you don't have to email it to me because there's not a here, or here. These are all the public documents that are here. Is it an in-house document that I need to know about?
It should be on the website, should it not?
On the website?
Yes.
So my hope is that, is it on something here? On the back? Which one is it, so I know? Thank you. It just so happens that 26 went in line with conversation I've had with you individually as council members. My hope is that you invest $10 million out of marijuana money into the neighborhoods where marijuana arrests have most been impactful. Oak Park, Meadowview, Del Paso Heights. I think there's a time for us to do something radical. Now is the time. The revenue coming in from marijuana money is new money that could energize our communities economically as well as through youth programs, but specifically taking marijuana money to look at the economic revitalization and rejuvenation of the neighborhoods that have been talked about mostly. I'm hoping, Councilwoman, that you find it, but it's not there. And I really find it a bit frustrating that I come to a city council meeting to have a conversation about, an issue, and the rules that are not written are the rules that I'm being told I have to follow. I realize that some of the comments made by some of the citizens really out of line for this environment, but there are moments when those of us who have no interest in cussing you out really become frustrated. I'm headed to Twin Rivers
Roberts, your 2 minutes has expired. Will you make your final comment, please?
Yes, ma'am. I realize that my comments have expired, but they probably wouldn't have been here or know while I've talked about the subject had we used a proper written down procedure that everybody
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. Your time has expired. The next speaker is Nick Avdis.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Nick Avdis with the Thomas Law Group on behalf of California Strategies, Masamitsu Miyagi, and Agronomic Investments here to speak in support of the amendments proposed to the Del Paso SPD, particularly as they relate to tobacco retailers. My client is currently doing some due diligence related to a high-end cigar bar that we're looking to locate on the boulevard where we think it'll activate the block and that the building is located on, and so we'd like to see this amendment go through to further examine the possibility of citing that use there. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have no more speakers on this item.
Okay. Let's finally turn it over to the City Council for some comments here. Councilman Guerra.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. We heard this in the Law and Legislation Committee. And inside joke there by our Law and Legislation Committee. Extensively. And we had, interestingly, a unique situation where the Planning Commission had rejected this proposal, but the participation and involvement from the community that presented itself that day was extensive. A lot of folks from the neighbors, our business improvement district, all discussed the issue of economic development. And I think that this ordinance here is more focused on the future economic development of Del Paso Boulevard than it is just the issue of cannabis. And that's, I think, the major the point that was brought forward by the community. The commissioners, and I've talked to my own commissioner, had good points about, hey, we need to do more information and more research about what to do in our corridors and get that study. And to that point, Councilmember Chenier and I have asked for staff to come back and do a workshop on the overall impacts of how we're laying out all these ordinances so we can get more information as we move forward. And we'll probably be reviewing all these ordinances over and over again. But with that, Mr. Mayor, I'm going to go ahead and move this item. I think it had a lot of input here. And with that, move it. I'll move to open and close the public hearing and move the item.
Second.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Councilman Guerra. Vice Mayor.
I'll pass, Mayor.
Okay, I'm sorry. I think I just knocked Jeff Harris off, too.
He's right on.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I've wrestled with this issue, too, in my district, specifically the River District, and have worked with the PBID there to get their ideas on what they felt were the best for economic development in the River District. And certainly a part of that is the cannabis industry, but and also not exclusively. Right now, we're getting quite a few applications for various aspects of the cannabis industry all over the city, but it certainly is affecting District 3 as well as 6 and 2. And so I think it's very fair to have this conversation with the community about what are the best avenues to pursue for economic development in totality. For that reason, I can support this. I would say this, that, accepting the tobacco retailer was certainly not something I favored. However, in deference to the council member who knows his district better than myself, I think it was fair for him to try to include that because he's gotten a lot of feedback from his community partners, from the PBIDs and the neighborhood associations, that they would favor this use. So if the community and the council member are in favor, I find myself in support of that as well.
Good. Councilmember Ashby.
Okay. Mayor, first of all, I want to answer the question for Mr. Roberts. The rule, which is in our rules of procedure and is Chapter 5, subsection B, subsection B, item 3, says speaker slips, members of the public wishing to speak to the council must submit to the city clerk a completed speaker slip indicating the agenda item or off-agenda item that they wish to address before the item is called. However, I will say this, it is not listed as one of the rules that is called out on the back or the front of our speaker slip, so we probably need to make that adjustment and apologize to Mr. Roberts.
I'll add that prominently on the front.
Thank you. Okay, and on this agenda item, Mayor, I just want to point out that I'm in favor of staff's recommendation and thank Law and Ledge for bringing it forward. I'd also like to point out that Mr. Avdis is correct. If somebody wanted to open a high-end cigar bar or something like that, it's just a conditional use permit, so that shouldn't be too high of a bar for somebody that's bringing in a good establishment that will benefit the boulevard. And I would also like to point out that there, I think if I heard it correctly, there were some maybe mischaracterizations of some of the business intent for which one of the applicants speaking against this said that the facility was. It actually used to be an art gallery, and that is something that the community is trying to protect. So I'm in favor of the ordinance.
Good. Thank you. Councilman Chenier.
Thank you, Mayor. So as someone who's been intimately involved in a lot of the cannabis ordinances since we started, we've always known that this will be a work in progress and that we need to be thoughtful about locations in the different districts that we place these businesses in or that businesses want to locate in, and all of them require a conditional use permit. I supported this ordinance change in Law and Ledge, and I'm going to support it tonight. I think it's the right thing to do, again, as we think about the specific needs of specific neighborhoods, and they're going to be different throughout the city, and we have to I think, excuse me, remain flexible as we move forward and respect the community's wishes in this. We have other communities. I have some who are also discussing overconcentration, and I'm sure this is not the last time we'll be dealing with this issue. I'm very sure of it, but we'll take them one at a time and do what's best for the city. So I appreciate this, and I will be supportive.
Well said. Councilman Guerra.
Thank you. Just to echo that point again, and then one last point for our zoning administrator staff as well. Even today, I think we had two specific items in law and legislation committee that we looked at. For example, the square footage of it in the industrial area, and also distance requirements. And I think we're going to find that nice fit as we look in areas in our specific city. I know Councilmember Harris wants to look at what we do in the River District, and I think that's going to have its own unique impact that we'll have to solve. I just wanted to remind and repeat what happened at the Law and Legislation Committee. I think the council the council members talked about that this is a conditional use permit, and there was an interest in supporting an entertainment type of retail high-end cigar lounge, but there was a strong hesitation towards any kind of these cigarette smoke shop type of strip mall items. So for our zoning administrator, I just want to make sure that is, again, when you go through a conditional use permit process, that was echoed in the more of a staff direction in the conversation. And with that, Mr. Mayor, we're ready to call the question.
Very good. No more members of the council up. I think this is appropriate. Again, Councilman Chenier is correct. They're all correct. We're building this policy a little bit as it goes, but it is important. It's an important business. There are a lot of good and legitimate people who are doing the business. It helps drive out the underground marijuana business and its potential revenue, big revenue for the city. And as we discuss the next item, the 2019-20 budget, it'll become even clearer why doing this right is very important to the future of our city. This is appropriate. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstain. Very good. Thank you. That passes 8-0. Please instruct Councilmember Warren to come back immediately to the chambers.
Mayor, just one quick comment. I'm sorry, but since some of the staff are leaving, do you mind?
Thank you.
Point of privilege?
Yes, of course.
I talked with CDD staff about the impacts of marijuana permits on getting housing and other significant projects through the pipeline. There's been a significant burden on projects that were not cannabis during the beginning of this process. And so during the budget process, I'm going to flag that. But since some of those staff are leaving, I wanted to make that comment.
Thank you very much. Vice Mayor, all right, let us move. Is there an objection, Ms. Holm or Mr. City Manager, to sort of taking items 27 and 28 together, or not? We can do that. Yeah.
We can do that.
I think so.
Alan's back, Mayor. Be ready.
Back.
Good. Excellent. Okay. Mr. City Manager, we'll take 27 and 28 together. Go
Perfect.
ahead.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Howard Chand, your City Manager. I'm pleased to kick off this fiscal year 2018-19 budget hearings this evening. Promise I won't take more than 45 minutes to do so. There are not a lot of bells and whistles included with this proposed budget, and some have called it a status quo budget. While we project healthy revenue growth for fiscal year 2018-19, growing pension costs will quickly cause expenses to outpace revenues in the following fiscal year, and that's fiscal year 19-20. So as such, I'm proposing a budget with a total of $1.4 million in new ongoing expenditures in the general fund that are not offset by revenues or reimbursements, and includes the addition of 7 full-time positions that are necessary to address this council's previous commitments related to youth and public safety. What is not included in this proposed budget is new tax revenue related to cannabis. We had some discussions earlier tonight. As we do not currently have enough data to reliably project this revenue stream, but we will provide updates as more information becomes available. So on the horizon, Measure U is set to expire in March of 2019. This sales tax measure has provided valuable resources that has allowed us to restore programs and services cut during the Great Recession. As Council considers options to renew Measure U, I will continue to work with the departments to ensure that we continue to deliver on the promises made and use these resources to improve our community centers, libraries, parks, and public safety. Amidst the challenges we face related to these pension cost increases, increasing infrastructure needs, and the need for more economic growth in our neighborhoods, it's important that we remain optimistic about our city's future. As I mentioned earlier, revenues are on the rise. We have Delta Shores that just opened after decades of planning and much anticipation. The Golden One Center and the Downtown Commons are thriving. Kaiser Permanente will be opening up a medical office building right here in downtown on J Street next month. And we're looking toward the future with the location of the Centene campus in Natomas. As part of our Project Prosper community outreach meetings over the last several months, we're also working with the Mayor and Council to develop a strategy on how to grow our economy, to bolster city services, and create additional capacity to address the community's concerns surrounding equity. We'll continue this work well into the next fiscal year. And so before I turn it over to staff for their presentations, I want to acknowledge our interim finance director, Don Holm, and interim budget manager, Marion Fahey, along with the entire budget staff, our department staff that's out here in the audience, along with their fiscal staff, who've been working literally tirelessly nights and weekends over the last several months to develop this proposed budget. I continue to be amazed at the hard work and level of coordination it takes to develop this and produce this document for your consideration. So with that, I want to turn it over to Dawn Holm for her presentation.
Thank you. Let me reiterate the big thank you to you and very hardworking city staff. You know, it's so easy to show up to a meeting and have it all presented, and we just launch from there, but it takes hours and hours and hours of hard work to prepare, and we acknowledge it and appreciate it, even if we don't vote for every single item as presented, or, you know, most of them anyways. Go ahead, Dawn.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I'm Dawn Holm, the Interim Director of Finance, and tonight begins our council's discussion on the 19 proposed budget. The total city budget is $1.1 million, $1 million higher than last year. This budget is a status quo budget with only $1.4 million in new ongoing expenditures, as the city manager explained, which are not offset by revenues or reimbursements. 7 positions are included to support council's commitment toward realigning city services to focus on our youth, as well as to support the police department's body-worn camera program. The additional 30.79 fully offset positions are being added to support economic development, increased development activity, utility regulatory requirements, increased roadway, bikeway maintenance, and staff our pools in Camp Sacramento. The proposed revenue budget represents a $27.8 million or 6% growth over fiscal year 18. This growth is a result of the continued growth in our housing market as well as retail sales. Property sales and utility user taxes make up 65% of all general fund revenues. As reflected in this chart, our major revenues continue to grow at a healthy rate. The expenditure budget reflects a growth of $25.5 million from FY18, primarily due to pensions and salary expenses. Almost a third of these increases will be offset by increased reimbursements and other service and supply reductions. As you know, the largest driver of our expenditure growth is the changes approved by the CalPERS Board. This chart reflects the change in assumed earnings approved by the board, where we reduced the earnings assumption from 7.5% to 7%. This change is being phased in over 8 years and results in a 100% increase in the amount we are paying in pensions by the time we reach fiscal year 25. The board has approved additional changes that we will begin to see and understand when we receive our evaluation reports for fiscal year 20, expected later this summer. The forecast before you is what was included in the proposed budget we released on April 23rd. The budget is balanced with revenues in excess of expenditures for fiscal year 19. Following the release of the budget, staff was provided additional information that affects the general fund forecast. On April 16th, staff received updated sales tax estimates, resulting in an additional $13.5 million over the term of the forecast. 1.1 million more is anticipated in fiscal year 19 than currently budgeted. Additionally, in fiscal year 18, Council approved a $300,000 one-time general fund augmentation for the START program that was not removed from the proposed budget. And the Public Works budget currently includes $1 million more in reimbursements than are actually achievable. To ensure the budget reflects this information, we are recommending that we include these revenue and expenditure adjustments when the budget is adopted. We have revised the 5-year forecast to reflect these changes. This forecast represents general fund revenues less expenditures by fiscal year, absent the use of one-time resources. As reflected in the forecast, despite significant revenue growth, our expenditures are projected to exceed revenues in fiscal year 20 and for the term of the forecast. As we have discussed, the city's Measure U sales tax is set to expire at the end of March. This forecast reflects the loss of a quarter of these revenues beginning on April 1st, 2019. The fiscal year 19 budget for Measure U is balanced with the use of existing fund balance, leaving a small reserve for fiscal year 20 if not renewed. Measure U has been instrumental in restoring public safety, community center and swimming pool operations, youth programming, and park maintenance. The 3 major departments receiving Measure U will provide information on the program services restored when they present their budgets on May 15th. With the expiration of Measure U, we have prepared this general fund forecast, which includes the potential loss of the measure. The Budget and Audit Committee is considering options on the extension that will allow us to sustain the positions and programs restored to date. Staff will be coming to the full council in June with information and for further discussion about the renewal of Measure U. All of the city's enterprise and other funds are balanced in fiscal year 19. However, the solid waste and storm drainage funds are challenged in the out years of the forecast. Staff are evaluating efficiencies and opportunities to address these challenges and will return to council when additional information is available. Next week's budget presentations will cover the capital improvement program, fees and charges, and the departments with Measure U programs: youth, parks and community enrichment, fire, and police. After that, we will return to the Budget and Audit Committee on May 29th for their recommendation, and finally on June 12th, we will be before you for final consideration of the proposed budget. I would like to take this time to thank all of the departments and their staff, as well as the city manager and his team for their hard work and support in developing the budget. Additionally, I would like to thank Marion Fahey, our interim budget manager, and the budget staff for their commitment and long hours put into delivering this budget. This concludes my presentation, and we're going to go ahead and turn over to the next report, and I'm going to turn it over to Marion Fahey. Thank you. Those clickers there.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. I'm Marianne Fahey, and I'm the Interim Budget Manager. The report before you is the Consolidated Budget Report. This report covers all the departments in the city except for 3 departments, and that is police, fire, and YPSI. Those will be heard separately next Tuesday. And this is a chart for the general fund augmentations. As Dawn has just mentioned in her presentation, all but 7 of the positions that you see, the 22.79, were fully offset with revenues and or service and supplies.
Excuse me, Marion. Mr. Mayor, do you mind if I just ask you? So you said YPSI. Were you referring to Youth Parks and Community Enrichment? That was a term I've never heard before. So.
My apologies. I thought everyone knew YPSI. Okay, yes, I was referring
I'd clarify for our watching
Youth
audience.
Parks and Community Enrichment.
That was a new one for me.
Oh.
Thank you.
Oh. Should have defined my acronym. Okay. Other fund augmentations, and that's primarily the utility funds, added 15 staff, and that's primarily to do with regulatory requirements. citywide and community support. What I'd like to highlight here is that we did, the proposed budget includes a $2.5 million increase to the Economic Uncertainty Reserve, and that will bring the reserve to over $52 million, which will maintain a 10% reserve over the term of the 5-year forecast. The Sacramento Public Library, we did increase funding in the 19 budget. We increased it by $1 million, and we also built in, again, over our 5-year forecast, an additional $6.5 million. Reorganizations, really the only one to highlight in the 19 budget was that the Office of Cannabis Policy and Enforcement moved out of the Finance Department to the City Manager's office. And that concludes my presentation.
All right, thank you very much. I want to, before I turn it, do we have public testimony on the budget? I want to frame this myself, and then I'll turn it to council members in the, because this is, you know, what we always say in government is the most important thing a governmental body does annually is pass a budget, because it's the value statement for our city in many respects. And we've gone over some of what you presented in more detail in the Budget and Audit Committee, and I certainly do not want to be Mayor Downer here, but I think it's important. Daryl Downer. I think it's important that we be honest with each other and honest with with the people that we represent. While our city is doing a great job maintaining and in many ways enhancing the level of public services in our community in many regards, when it comes to staffing around public safety, for example, we are still well behind pre-recession levels, at least when it comes to breadth and personnel. And the same is true for libraries, for parks, for everything else that we do, and certainly the arts have starved for years, and we're beginning now to bring that part of our city's focus back. But you can look at a budget in very static ways, and for example, as Ms. Holm pointed out, that revenues are up this year. What's to worry about? It's all good. In fact, we end with a $4.7 million surplus at the end of fiscal year 19. But the real story is told when you turn to page 2 of the staff report under file item 27. And I want to speak about my dear friend who had to leave a few moments ago, Darrell Roberts, who says, and rightfully, in my opinion, that we ought to be spending a lot more money on youth. In fact, he says we ought to spend the marijuana money that still has not been realized, but we know will increase. We should set aside $10 million and spend it on youth. And I agree with him in principle and intent, and we ought to do it. But here's the problem. You look at page 2, and what you see is that for many reasons, including our pension issues, that beginning in fiscal year 20, we project a budget deficit at the end of the year of almost $9 million. And then it gets worse. It grows in FY21, excuse me? Okay. It grows in FY21 to almost $20 million. It grows in FY22 to $25 million. FY23 to $30 million.
It's actually the updated one down.
That's okay. Apparently, it's been updated, but the numbers are close enough for with a little bit of revision, because revenue actually is up even a little bit more this year. But that's okay. I'm in government after all. And these are budgets. What is our way out of this to meet Mr. Roberts' challenge? What is our way out of this to increase our public safety resources to actually achieve genuine community policing? What is our way out of this to invest in our neighborhoods, which is the cry, rightful cry, out of the events in Sacramento of the past 8 weeks and long before then? What is the answer to actually realizing a vision to make Sacramento an arts and culture capital of Sacramento? I want to just preview for you what's coming in the weeks ahead, because we are going to address the Measure U question, and we're going to hold our first Budget and Audit Committee on June the 7th. I intend as mayor to make a proposal in public several weeks, I hope, before June the 7th. And in my view, it's just a preview, the only way ultimately that we can grow the public services that people are demanding while providing real opportunity to our neighborhoods, our families and our kids especially, is to grow. And to grow in an inclusive way and to build and raise that tax base. And that's what I look forward in the weeks ahead around this Measure U discussion specifically, but also beyond it, to discuss with all of you, my colleagues, the city team, and the members of the public. How do we best do that? Because these numbers are real. And if we continue to do what we're doing, yes, we'll balance this year's budget. Yes, we'll find ways to do workarounds. There are always ways. But will we be able to advance? Will we be able to grow? Will we be able to create community policing? Will we be able to create more code enforcement, increase library hours, and do more for the arts, and open our pools, summer pools for longer hours? All of that. The answer must be yes. How we get there that will form the debate around this year's budget, because Measure U is up again in November of 2018. So I just wanted to set the stage here. This is a static budget on purpose, because even though we've got several $1 million of surplus in the budget year, it goes away pretty quickly when you move into the next year and the years beyond. Let's open up the discussion here. How many people do we have to testify?
I have 2 speakers. The first is Flo Coffer, and then Mike Jaski.
Okay, why don't we...
Okay.
Bojan, yes, please. Then we'll open it up to the members.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council and City Manager.
Welcome.
My name is Flo Kofer, and I am a resident of District 5, and I'm here because I wanted to talk a little bit about the city budget. In particular, I am curious about the transparency in the budget process in terms of being able to translate this into communities. We've heard a lot of people come tonight and in weeks prior and talking about their frustration and their anger and what they'd like to see in the community, but I think translating that into what is practical is really important. And so I thought the presentation tonight was really fantastic in terms of talking about where we are, where we're going, and what some of those challenges are. But I'd really like to invite in more members of the community to be able to have these conversations and to understand things. I thought it was great when Councilmember Harris said, you know, what is IPSI, right? When we're using these acronyms, sometimes it's difficult for people to really formally engage. And so providing some additional transparency is really important. And so I wanted to elevate that this evening. I also wanted to talk about about the marijuana revenue because I think it's an important fund, and I think it's an important one that we should protect. In particular because we know, and as Malachi said earlier tonight, the war on drugs was one that caused a lot of harm in communities in recent years. And so to have those funds just absorbed into the city budget with business as usual just doesn't feel just, and it doesn't feel equitable. And for that reason, I think it's really important for us to think about where we invest those dollars and be very strategic about that and make sure that they're invested in ways that focus on restoration. So I urge us to think again about two things. The first is, how do we take this process and make it so that more people who are coming and making asks understand how they relate to the budget, because I do think that is our central aim. And secondly, thinking about how we protect the marijuana revenues so that we're still able to meet our pension needs, but also are able to make sure that we're addressing the needs of communities. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Mike Jask. Mr. Jaski.
Jaski, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council members. Mike Jaski representing myself, not Sacramento ACT today, because Sacramento ACT doesn't yet have a position to offer. So even though homelessness is one of the key policy issues you've wrestled with, I can't tell from this budget document what it is you're intending to do. So I see on page 8 of 798 in sort of an overview section that there's going to be resources devoted to satisfying the various policy areas that you've been concerned with over time. That's a great sentiment. So I'm requesting that your staff, I guess this is a request to Mr. Chan, prepare documents that are focused on particular policy areas that you've wrestled with. How much are you spending now? What is your spending history? What is actually proposed for next year? And are there implications for spending in years beyond? I think it's the only way that we're going to really comprehend what it is the difficulties that you have before you is if it's turned into something that's comprehensible. And if a person who is an advocate like myself can't yet figure that out, you have a ways to go to satisfy the objective of the previous speaker. And I think that that actually is something for you to contemplate seriously, where there are policy issues that you've wrestled with over time, where you have staked out a position, a direction you're wanting to go. These are things that you're going to want to explain and tie to the replacement of Measure U anyway. And so I'm merely asking that you develop them now, not later.
Well, I think it's really a fair point. I think Measure U is going to give us the opportunity to be more descriptive in terms of policy direction. But I also wonder whether or not I forget from my old days at the city, I know at the State House that the legislative analyst, for example, produces a budget summary that not only has the line items in the way that you've done here. This is actually a very good and helpful document, but also sort of describes key issues or makes key issues, right? And particular, funding levels compared to prior years. I just think that, again, you all work very, very hard. I'm not trying to put something additional on you, but if there is a way, maybe it's through the IBA as well, I'm not sure, that some of this can be translated, in terms of big picture, the big picture choices facing the city, that would be very useful and helpful in the community.
Be great.
Thank you. Okay, let's hear from the members. Councilmember Chenier.
Actually, you
Hanson was first. Go.
That's all right.
Vice Mayor. Go.
Thank you, Mayor. And I appreciate your comments. I think that one of the things you said, and Councilmember Chenier, who's up next, has said, and maybe he'll say it again, so hopefully I don't steal his words, is that the budget should reflect our priorities, and that we tell the people, like Mr. Jaski said, what we believe in based on where we spend our money. And so tonight is our first hearing on this, and we're taking public comment and feedback. But I think that there certainly is a lot to be proud of. Over the last 6 years, our budgets have gotten better. We've been able to restore services, and I think we're able to meet a lot of the public's expectation, but there's also challenges that have grown during that time as well, namely the PERS one and the employee compensation one that has been discussed by our staff. Overall, I want to applaud the city manager and your team, Laney, Dawn, Marion, for your work. Particularly, I think it's very smart to begin setting aside money to address the PERS phase-in. And we set aside $5 million in one-time funds at mid-year, another $8.5 million here to begin to get ahead of that big snowball. That will only ease the punch. It won't stop the bruise. And Mayor, as you talked about with Measure U, we have some very serious considerations to make. I do think that as we go forward, though, there's a few points that I want to raise. One is there are significant levels of service that we have not yet tackled, particularly with solid waste and code enforcement. When we get reports of illegal dumping, citizens are told it could be up to 6 weeks till that's going to be remediated. When it's a health and safety issue, particularly needles or human feces, which has become more prevalent a problem, I think that timeline is inappropriate, and I think through the budget process as we go forward, Mr. City Manager, we should set some realistic timelines so that the residents understand that if there is, well, I just think that for illegal dumping, 6 weeks is far too long. Depending on where it is, maybe a P-bid that we fund and we give significant funding to the bids, they can address those things. But I think our public works staff through solid waste need to find ways to be more responsive. But particularly if it's a needle or some other potential for infectious disease to be transmitted, that like feces in particular, we need to make sure that those are remediated as quickly as possible within potentially 24 hours to assure the public safety. We have talked about downtown streets team here before. We've talked about needle pickup, illegal dumping, and so maybe other council members will raise those, but I think that's a key thing. To Ms. Coffer's point, sorry. I don't believe any marijuana revenue is considered in this budget, and we have not yet seen any realistic revenues to be able to project that. So, Ms. Holm, if I'm correct, there is no marijuana revenue included in this budget, correct?
There's a small amount that we're expecting from the BOT, but it was only about $200,000. We're watching the revenues.
But is that factored into this fiscal year budget?
Yes.
Okay, so I think to the point that Ms. Kofer was raising, that, and we talked about last week at council related to the Cal Expo event, I would like to see us at this point segregate or to create at least some policy through this council as to what we're going to do with those marijuana revenues. There have been significant requests to invest in disadvantaged communities, and I think those are valid requests that we need to really process and answer. Mr. City Manager, what is the appropriate policy that you would recommend, and then make sure that the council has a chance to debate that through the budget process before we adopt a final budget. Because I think if we just do it without intention, it'll be considered a slight. If we actually have a debate people can participate in, and we decide something that addresses their concerns but maybe doesn't do it all, people will feel respected. And that's a key aspect of budget making, is whether people respect the process that we went through. Finally, just a couple quick things. I mentioned this earlier, but since we're doing CDD, I am very concerned about the affordability crisis affecting housing right now, and we need to be doing everything we can to deliver new housing units. In CDD, I believe we should have a performance metric that housing in particular should be prioritized for entitlement process attention and building permit process attention. And right now, one of the things I understand from staff is that we're falling behind somewhat, not greatly, Ryan's looking at me, but in delivering those things. The more supply we add, the better safety or better pressure relief we'll get on rent increases. And so if cannabis permits are
taking an inordinate amount of staff time, and they're meaning that those other projects are getting delayed because we're spending so much time on cannabis, then I think we have to address that through management and through a budget policy that says performance on those things is really important. I hope that made sense. Finally, two things. One, we had identified in an earlier CIP money to remove an escalator from a city-owned building in Old Sacramento. For some reason, those funds cannot be used, even though the project is within that budget. I would like that, Mr. City Manager, as the budget comes back, that we fix that CIP and ensure that funding can be used for removal of the escalator that is no longer up to safety standards. And then finally, the independent budget analyst auditor has a carryover for our city budgets for the mayor and council. We're allowed to carry forward any unspent funds. There are some projects that the auditor's office is working on, the independent budget analyst's office is working on, but because of the vacancy, those projects were stopped. And now that we've made a decision to appoint our auditor as the interim city independent budget analyst until the decision later this year on a charter amendment, I think we should allow some of those funds to carry over as appropriate. And as an independent function, I do wonder, Ms. Ashby, since you called for the charter amendment, whether or not we should deal with budgeting and whether the city manager should be deciding on carryover and use of funds, or if we need to address that through the charter amendment. I think that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Chenier.
Thank you, Mayor. Couple of points I want to make. First of all, thank you to the staff. And Mr. Mayor, I totally understand this is a status quo budget, and we need to be smart not only about this year, but what's going to happen in the next 2, 3, and 4 years so that we don't get ourselves into a problem. And I look forward to the discussion on Measure U. I think that as you've kind of framed it, we need to think really hard about the investments that we're making with that money and the payoffs that will come out of it over time. And I said this, I think, at our budget committee, but we also have to understand that for some of these things to be more successful in the long term so that those funds can produce other monies, we're going to have to be patient about some of that and make investments that may not pay off in 1 year, but hopefully will pay off in a bigger way over time. That's the only way that we're going to really grow what we're doing. But I think you guys have done a really good job on this, and it's much appreciated. And Howard, thank you for kind of leading this. It's hard to say no, and I know you guys have said no quite a bit on this. Given that, I'm going to ask for a couple things that we should put on the table and consider. And I think they're really one thing, and then I do want to talk a little bit more about the cannabis money. The one thing here is around homelessness, because we have probably as a council spent more time on homelessness in the last year and a half than any other subject. And we have, and money, well, and we have significant dollars between us and the county. We're talking $180 million at least invested in trying to solve this problem. We have, because we've had to, we've duplicated or created our own system, and we continue to do that, which goes far beyond whole person care. It's whole person care. It's standing up to shelter in the north area, wanting to do a couple of more triage centers to make sure all of these things can go forward. We're doing this with 2 FTEs. So we hired Emily basically to be our liaison to the rest of the city and to the external world. She has one person working for her, and we're basically asking her to run a $180 million department with no additional help. So my hope is that we can understand that deeply and find some more help, because frankly, I think, and I think most people agree, this is one of the largest threats we have to our future, both for who we are as a community and a city, and financially and economically. We know we've had folks decide to leave or not invest in the city because of our homeless situation. So Number one, and I would ask the city manager, as we work through the budget, this is in your office, so I think this is the appropriate evening to think about at least one more FTE that we can either add or transfer from somewhere else into the city manager's office to work on our homeless programs. That's number one. So on cannabis, I just want to be clear on a couple things. And first of all, we do have money in the budget on cannabis, but that's from the dispensaries going backwards. And we have some preliminary numbers from January, February, March, which are really interesting because it shows our medical dispensaries dropping by about 60%, but the adult use going up to more than compensate on it. So we have this interesting piece where people, I assume, are switching over and doing that. It got better. So, but I want to be clear that we've already made 3 pretty significant commitments that we have to catch up on, because I know we have spent the marijuana money in 42 different ways already, including myself. So I get that, and I'm going to come back to talk about youth in a minute. So 2 things that are kind of logistical. On the enforcement piece that we said we would pay for out of permits, I believe we're behind on that we have kind of fronted money to get the enforcement on illegal grows, particularly in some of our areas. You know, it's the right thing to do, and eventually that should catch up. And I'm hoping on all these questions we can get some updates, Howard, on numbers on what that looks like. So how much have we fronted? How much do we have to go to catch up? We also just have a little gap in collecting permit fees because we're just gearing up. I mean, we're, again, creating a department. I don't know what we're calling, a division? What are we creating? A division, he guesses. So we're creating a division around cannabis. So we need to make sure that that's staffed because we've made commitments, both, I think, to the industry to have a healthy industry and treat them well, but also, as importantly, if not more, to our neighborhoods to make sure we get rid of the illegal grows and use the funds from the permits to do that. The third piece that we've made a commitment to, and Malachi, Mr. Amen, talked about it, is the equity program. We've committed $1 million to front that program as well. My hope is eventually that can become self-supporting as well, but we're not there yet, and the commitment from this council was to put funds out to get that going. Now, it's taken us longer than a lot of people would have hoped, but we know we're working with a number of different organizations to try to get them to work together to look at this so it really serves as large a population as we can. So those discussions have been ongoing, and a lot of us have spent a lot of time on it. So I don't want people to think we've put it aside and are ignoring it. We're trying to work through to get that going. I think it's been a priority for a number of us, if not the entire council. So those are significant expenditures, some which I think will be paid back and some that may not. But we'll probably take, I think, as I looked at what we've collected the last couple of months, we're probably about $2 million ahead for this year, for this budget year, just based on collections in January, February, March. But my guess is that that $2 million will be eaten up by the things that I've just described, if not a little bit more. We can also throw in, if we want, money that we put in the cannabis project, which I guess is what we're calling, it's not a special fund, but it's a cannabis project. It's kind of like a horror movie, you know, they have the cannabis project. To set aside whatever we get from High Times. Hopefully it's around $200,000. We said last week that we would set that aside, so that goes into that project as well, I would hope. So I think that we should have, and the monies that we have, the $2 million I was talking about, is primarily around adult use with a little bit of manufacturing. It includes almost no money from cultivation, which is by far the largest number of permits and work that we'll have, and I know that there's only one business operations permit that's actually been issued. And we have a couple of other places where monies will come in. So I think that my hope is that by the end of this fiscal year, we'll have 4 or 5 months of experience in these. We'll start to see, hopefully, the cultivation. That might take a little bit longer, but we definitely should be seeing a little bit more of the manufacturing revenues and be able to talk about the budget year with cannabis revenues and what we want to do with them. I agree very much, I think, with what Mr. Hansen said, that we really need to think about our at-risk neighborhoods. The mayor said this, that this is a value statement. And as I've been out talking to people, you know, and thinking about what we've done and what this council has experienced in the last few months, the commitment to those neighborhoods and to investing in those neighborhoods is very high. It's very high for me. And I would like to set aside, and this will be obviously a council decision and a council discussion, but putting on the table what types of investments we should be making in those neighborhoods that will pay off in the long run. So I don't want to just put money into program. I do want to put money into our highest risk neighborhoods, absolutely, out of marijuana. For me, my priority would be young people. I mean, obviously I ran Measure Y 2 years ago. 65% of the voters in Sacramento said we'd like to have the cannabis money go towards youth. I'd like to remain true to that as much as we can. It was a pretty good poll and an expensive one. So my hope, again, is that as we get better numbers, we can have that discussion. Now, I know we are also in the city manager's office looking at kind of the metrics for neighborhoods and what makes a good neighborhood, and there's a lot of work that's being done. And hopefully that work will come to some conclusions relatively soon. Because again, what I hope we can do with these funds is do an investment with the highest possible benefit and payoff to the neighborhoods that need it most. And I'm hoping that that can be data driven. It would be very easy to just go spend money, but just spending money to say we've done it in a certain set of neighborhoods isn't going to get us what we need in the long term. We need to help grow these neighborhoods. We need to invest in workforce development for our young people. This is about jobs. To me, as we go forward, how do we make sure that we're supporting our young people so that they're ready for school, that they're ready for career, that they're ready and civically engaged as they move forward. So that discussion I know will come a little later, but what I would hope is that we can keep the data going both on the side of what our revenues are coming in, what we've expended and kind of what we owe back to the cannabis project, as you call it, and then also at the same time couple that with the set of metrics that you guys are working up so we can see where we should invest and where the highest payoff will be.
Thank you very much. Councilman Harris.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate the comments of my two colleagues who've gone before me and agree with most of them. You know, I really like what Jay said about being very judicious about how we invest in underserved communities, and it has to be something that we look at carefully and, as he said, look at the payback ratio. You know, the fact of the matter is we're still struggling to provide robust basic services in Sacramento. We haven't hit the bar. We haven't recovered from the recession fully. There's so many areas that need investment, certainly underserved communities. Certainly, you know, we need to work robustly on the homeless problem. There are a million areas where we still need help. We're short FTEs in several departments. So what the mayor said about looking at revenues is absolutely crucial. And I think that we have a pretty good case to make to our constituencies that with some more investment, we can make our city much more successful. Don, I do have one question. Does this budget reflect a commensurate amount of spending for the impact team as in this fiscal year?
Are you talking about the illegal dumping impact team or the police?
No, the police impact team.
We have continued that funding.
At the current level?
Correct.
Okay, very good. Because that's a real crucial thing, certainly in terms of dealing with the homeless population. You know, we have spent a lot on the homeless, and we're going to need to spend more. Do we have it? Maybe. You know, as cannabis money comes in, there are going to be many people talking about many needs. And we'll have to see where we go. But there's a couple of comments I'd like to make. If we're going to really solve this homeless problem, we need a much deeper collaboration with the county. And we're moving in that direction. I think that when we achieve that, that we will both collectively have back-end savings that will reflect well on both of our budgets, both the city and the county. So I look forward to that developing, and in fact, it is moving in that direction as we speak, and the winter triage shelter has been amazingly effective in achieving good results in terms of housing people. The county, to their credit, has also taken some actions that have led to the housing of individuals, but if we work together, there'll be a synergy that would be pretty remarkable, and I think that we should encourage that in every way possible. But besides revenues, just increasing revenues, there are still probably some efficiencies in various departments, and so I think that we should look at those. I think everything needs to be on the table when we go to out years and there's red ink. So it's maybe premature to bring this up, but when those departments are brought, and they bring their budgets and there's discussions, everywhere where we can be more efficient and save money is going to be critical as we go into out years. Every $1 million that we spend is really important. So as well as revenues, we certainly have to keep our eye on efficiencies. And to the credit of staff, this city has pared and chopped and really become a lot tighter organization than it was before the recession. There's not much fat left on the bone, but there is some, and so we have to look at all of it and put it all on the table. I think that this budget is fair, and I really do like the idea of getting a jump on the PERS with the $13.5 million that you're looking at saving. I think that this budget is very realistic and it's frugal, and I appreciate that very much. I appreciate the work of Marion and Don and Laney, everybody who works on this, because it's a tough job. Anyway, as things progress and as we look at Measure U and income from cannabis, hopefully our picture will be a little more rosy, and then we can really roll up our shirt sleeves and decide which programs will bring us the greatest return. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councilman Harris. Councilmember Ashby.
Thanks, Mayor. I have a couple of questions and then a couple statements. This is still available online, right? Yes. So for a couple of the speakers who had questions, sorry, all my notes are falling out. The staff document that we got is not the full budget. It has a link to the full budget, and you can find a lot of the priority statements in here. So, like, for example, if you look at the police section, you'll see that one of the things that the council wanted to do was body-worn cameras, and then we implemented a policy that said we wanted to give the body-worn camera video footage out at a certain time frame. That's reflected in the fact that we needed to add 4 full-time positions to be able to meet that policy goal. So when you get into this document, you can dig a lot deeper into how we are setting our priorities that kind of back up to policies. So just for the 2 people that said that, I know it's hard, but this document, if you sort through it, you'll see more linkages. I wanted to ask a couple questions just because I've been here long enough to see a recurring theme on a couple of entities each year. And I just want to know if they're addressed, because it seems like almost every year there's a 4th R deficit. And I'm wondering if we closed that gap this year or if we're still operating at a deficit with 4th R.
So the department will be presenting information next week on 4th R and START.
Okay, and so we'll get more in-depth information then?
Yeah.
Okay. And then Summer Night Lights is another one that comes up sometimes at the finish line that several districts want. Is Summer Night Lights already in here?
Summer Night Lights is not funded in the current budget. It's one of those things that we've done on a one-time basis, and something we've said it's funded for this summer, and that we would readdress it at mid-year. We've talked with the members who have it.
Because
that it would be a mid-year discussion.
I would just say, I mean, in the time that I have been here, so this is, these 2 items, maybe just as my recollection, more than any other, the council and the council members for which those districts that affects the most have been really clear that that is an ongoing priority for them, and then they end up having to fight for it at the finish line. And so I just feel like if we've done this, we've added Summer Night Lights for every year, and we've added 4th R we're not gonna not do that. So it ought to be in here because I think at some point as a council member, it's not called out for not being in here either. So I just think that's a tough one for us, and I just know those two, but there might be others. But those two seem to come up every time, so we'll have to prepare ourselves for that. And there's also, not every year, but last year and in other years, there have been amounts of money set aside for council districts for summer youth programming outside of Summer Lights too, and that is not in here either, other than rollover, right? Okay, and the council budgets that are listed in the document, they do not include the rollover, right?
That is correct.
Okay, and I just want to make sure I got this right. I was surprised to see the council budgets in the district offices different. I now understand why you did that, but I wondered if anybody else caught it. So council districts 1, 3, 5, and 7 were half the budget of every other office, which at first I was like, wait, what? And then I remembered, and I just think this is worth pointing out because it's a good budgetary lesson learned. When I came on as the council member before me had spent down the entire year's worth of funds. So there weren't enough operational dollars for the second half of the year when I came in as a new council member. And so the city had to dip into the general fund for half a year's worth of staffing just for my office to even exist. And so I just think this is a good kudos to them. They have now caught that, and so the council offices that are up for election, you only get budgeted half of it until after the election. Then after you win the election, or whoever wins the election gets the second half, so that never happens again. And I think that's a good move because it costs the city quite a bit of money in that year. So I wanted to also just tell you guys that I think that when we do reflect our priorities, and it's good to see 2 additional positions for the youth department because that has been made a priority. It's good to see us getting closer and closer to the goal of funding the libraries at full capacity, and with the exception of the logo of the marijuana leaf on the PowerPoint, I thought that was a fair conversation to have. And then I too, like Councilmember Hansen, appreciate that you are phasing in some money towards PERS, even though it's not enough, and at that set aside we wouldn't get all of it, but maybe with the advent of some of these other things, just having that plan towards it gets us a little closer. I think it's prudent and wise, so I appreciate that you did that. And then my final comment is more to the mayor, or in support of the mayor, and that is the most important part of this conversation was the 2 or 3 minutes he took on the front end to say that the solution is not in this book, and the solution is not in our existing general fund strategy, and it is not in anything that we have done so far. So I think we'll have to be somewhat creative and open-minded in the next couple of months as we look at how we want to really achieve some of the ambitions of this administration and this council. And we probably have a moment here where we might be able to take a big swing at it. And so I'm looking forward to that conversation with my colleagues as well, so that we don't have to sit up here and say things like, is there $600,000 for summer night lights? Is there money for the mayor's 1,000 Strong program? These things that shouldn't take so much banter and are less than $1 million each should be easy priorities for us to fulfill. It's very tiresome to watch special needs kids in the Parks Department programs fight against arts and creative economy in another department. I don't want to do that ever again, right? We've done that. Jay and I sat through some of the worst years ever where you try to decide which thing to cut, and it was horrifying. So we deserve like some type of pay for that, or at least I don't know what, but something. It was awful. It was awful to see young officers lose their positions, to brown out fire stations, to we really did at one point. That is not a fallacy. We actually chose between an art program and the special needs program, and we chose the special needs program, and people in the art community were really, really upset, and it meant a lot of youth arts programs went away, and And I don't want to see this council have to make those decisions again. So the Economic Uncertainty Fund, being judicious and addressing the PERS funding and having a strong strategy for Measure U that creates a backstop for the city of Sacramento that prevents us in the near term from having to do those things again is the most important part of this year's budget conversation, unique to this year.
Thank you, Councilmember Ashby. Councilmember Guerra.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also want to make it clear that the bigger question is how do we look at our long-term future and what are the things that we're going to institute now that will help us in that long run. So thank you, Mr. Mayor, for making sure that we don't lose sight of that. But at the sake of also sounding parochial here, I will also focus on the question of fairness and this being a status quo budget because we need to be prudent and we need to be thoughtful. But status quo for some communities is different than status quo in others. Status quo in some communities is maybe good to great to getting by, but the status quo in other communities may be still unbearable. So I want to be careful about that. And, to just quickly agree with some of the things, I concur with Councilmember Hanson on the issue of housing. We got to figure out how to do that moving forward. Those folks in the communities that are status quo not doing as well are suffering in those. On the issue of homelessness, I concur on making sure we move that as a priority. I mean, I've just heard the issues happening over at Granite Regional Park, and in fact tomorrow night in Avondale Glen Elder and Southeast Village, we're going to have a conversation about the impact of homeless communities, homeless camps inside residential communities. But the issue of solid waste, that part of the budget has concerned me. I want to first thank all our solid waste staff. I've had a lot of an opportunity to talk to our solid waste staff over the last 4 months. I think the team has done great. I've gotten remarks about the work that they've done in the public right away to pick up the illegal dumping, particularly on 21st Avenue, and I got kudos about our law enforcement helping out with that as well. But the reality is there's still a lot of communities, and particularly in the southeast area, are suffering from the scofflaws and illegal dumping that's happening over and over again. And for folks who save up a little bit of money to buy a little bit of property at a home that they can afford, and then for illegal dumping to occur and continue to depress their investments and values, I feel like that's also an issue that the city is neglecting to recognize that livelihood of a lot of communities. So I started looking over the solid waste numbers, and they've been status quo for the last 5 years. Okay, we've not moved the needle. We added a couple office bodies 2 years ago to try to help with it, and that moved around. I think in total we had 4 for the entire city. But to me, that's a concern because when you have to respond to a constituent, and it's going to take 6 weeks to pick up all of the trash out there. That we have to get at that. So I want to make sure that as we prepare a budget, that we're looking long term, that we don't forget that if you look at some of the disadvantaged communities, they are suffering a lot with this illegal dumping and solid waste. On this issue of economic development, I agree, Mr. Mayor. We had this conversation before about how do we help build our communities. If we can get our commercial corridors that have been dying because retail is dying and it will be dead in these areas, we're losing as a city. So I would like to see, and I implore our city staff to look at dedicating some time or staff or FTEs, and I leave it up to you, Mr. City Manager, how we look at this for economic development staff to start a proactive look at our commercial corridors that should be producing more. So if we want more revenue, let's activate these corridors. Let's figure out a mechanism to do that. I'd like to see Stockton Boulevard humming at 100%, not only because it's good for the neighborhood, but it's good for a tax revenue generator for our city. So for me, I think that's, I want to figure out how do we look at this conversation about investments for return. Let's try to get some economic staff hours. When we did the downtown plan, it took a lot of staff hours. It took a lot of planning. And so I want to acknowledge that, and that's a trade-off we have to look at. The last conversation, that I'll bring up on this issue of fairness, and it relates to marijuana and cannabis. I'm glad we're moving, front-loaded the cost of enforcement. The funding for youth is good. But as we start looking at this issue of cannabis and it being a cash cow for the city, and where it's happening in District 2 and District 6 on the large part, and in fact, we'll probably see some impacts in District 4 because of all the dispensaries wanting to concentrate in one area, in the entertainment area. I want my colleagues to not forget what has happened in the Southeast Corridor. If you go back, and I've talked to some of my constituents who have been longtime constituents there, and they will remind me about the zoning and the approvals of the landfills and transfer facilities, and how they said, well, we want to be fair, and we want to create community input, and there'll be a return for the community. Many of them still remember those conversations, and they feel that, where are we today? They'll remind me about how when we first started zoning the cell phone towers, we made lease agreements. And lease agreements, we're going to say, in trade-off, we'll put this, nowadays I guess we do pretty good-looking palm trees or pine trees with cell phone towers, but when we first did that, we'll put this ugly-looking cell phone tower in the middle of your neighborhood, in your park or in your area, and we'll let those lease agreements to stay in the neighborhood. But yet that went into the general fund again. When we look at marijuana, I don't want our colleagues to discount where the concentration and where the density of this revenue is happening, and there are communities in those areas, again, in need. So when we talk about fairness and we talk about get excited about this new revenue coming in, I want to make sure that that fairness is at play. I don't forget the sight that if we don't do well as a city as a whole, everybody loses. So that is an important piece. But I also want to make sure that fairness is also a constant piece of our conversation and how we balance our resources. With that, again, Mr. Mayor, your point about it's the bigger picture. Let's be not be penny wise and pound foolish. But there are some basic needs, just like picking up the trash, that we do have to get those and resolve those now. So.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Carr.
Thank you, Mayor. My take is a little different on the budget. What I've found is that we and most organizations give a lot of reverence to the budget and no reverence at all to what that budget is supposed to produce. So here we are again. We're going to have to approve a budget for $1.1 billion, and I'm not sure what I'm buying for that. I'm not sure of what the trade-offs are. We haven't tied the budget to outcomes, and that's been my problem with approving these budgets ever since I've been here. If we put more money into fire, does that give our citizens a lower insurance rate? Is that what we want to do? Or is it better to put that money into lowering our debt so that the cost of borrowing is not expensive? And several people have hinted at this, and I think those are the value judgments that we as a council have to make. But we have to drive it down to some specificity so we know what we're dealing with. It's not good enough to say we want to have a nice fire department. We have to specify it so we know when we put money into it what we're getting back out of it. The same thing with parks. The same thing with investing in Meadowview. We put $5 million in Meadowview because we think the community needs investment, but what do we get back? What's the payoff? And is that worth the money we're putting in? So my hope is that the ad hoc committee will continue to work to get to those results that we're looking for in enough specificity that when we present the budget the next time, we can say, here's the result we're trying to attain, and here are the resources that we're putting behind it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councilman Carr. Councilmember Warren.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think my colleagues have made some very, very good points relative to the budget, the process, and their feelings about the budget. I have concerns, but I do understand what we're attempting to do and doing with the budget in terms of balancing the budget and projecting out for future needs and trying to deal with some of our unfunded obligations. And I know that traditionally we've looked at this from, I think, from an accounting and balancing the budget perspective, but I think, you know, as Councilman Carr said, and also Councilman Guerra, I mean, I think we do really need to really look at impacts, what we expect our city to get from the budget, and also, you know, understanding that some of our communities have unique needs. And, you know, I was thinking about, for instance, District 2 and the challenges that some of District 2, and first let me say, District 2 is not all, even though we tend to look at, people tend to express sympathy, empathy, the challenges in District 2, and that kind of thing, which we do have some of that. But District 2 also has some of the more expensive homes. We have the highest single tax generator in the city in District 2 with Arden Fair Mall. And so we have things that are tremendously beneficial to the city in District 2. However, we tend to do things like, for instance, as Councilman Guerra said, you know, we've placed burdens on communities like billboards, like cell towers, and initially those funds were supposed to be back in the communities where these impacts were being generated, and yet these funds have found themselves or found their way to the general fund. We know we had, you know, during the down years and the recession and all of that, we were plugging holes, and so that was an additional sacrifice that some of those communities have made. My concern also is I've heard, and I believe Councilman Guerra expressed this concern as well, maybe Councilman Chenier as well, is that, you know, we have this new industry, this marijuana industry, and there are a lot of impacts as it relates to what is somewhat known, and then we have some unintended consequences, and we have some things that are yet to be discovered. My concern is that we continually burden vulnerable communities, and yet we don't give them the resources to really build their way out of this perpetual state of need. You know, and the need is not the same as for instance, you know, maybe District 3 or 4 or 2. We all have unique needs, but I think we can all agree that some of our communities have been in a state of not free fall, but just a state of really a lack of real engine in an economic kind of contributor in the way that some of the other parts of the city are. And I think that if we could somehow focus on some of our communities that have been less behind, and this would take disproportionately in some years, directing resources into places like Meadowview or Del Paso Heights and Strawberry Manors and Valley High and, you know, maybe the River District or some other places in the city, and elevating, helping those communities to elevate commerce, business taxes, as well as property taxes, and then really having an additional significant contributor as opposed to someone that constantly needs to ask for assistance. And oftentimes the assistance is not enough to really move the needle. And so I'm hopeful that at some point we can have that discussion. But I also am very mindful that our responsibility, even as a District 2 representative, our responsibility is to the whole city and the well-being of the city, and obviously I accept, and I believe we all accept that responsibility. The last thing I want to say is that housing, which is one of the things that's really helping to drive revenue, in the city, property taxes, and they've continually jumped. In fact, that's probably one of our biggest on percentage increases, I think, revenue generators in the city. And yet there are people that are being left behind. There are people who housing is a continual problem, is going to be in the foreseeable future, is going to be a bigger challenge as Sacramento becomes, more attractive to people moving in who may be coming from places where, they see Sacramento as a bargain. They come in and they're moving the pricing up, property taxes go up and all that. But people that are here will miss, if they're not in, it's harder to jump 2 feet than it is 1 feet. And if the housing moves up, they're going to have to jump higher to get in. And so, I would like to, well, in fact, in District 2, we're going to be holding a housing forum on the 23rd of this month to really talk about ways in which we can help try to encourage people to understand the values and the benefits. And why that's important, I think, is because on the other side of that, we run into the homeless issue that the mayor has fought so hard trying to, to bring solutions to, and yet that's expensive as well. And so I think there's a direct correlation to how we invest our money and the returns that we get. And I think it goes to Councilman Carr's point, is that making the right investments can help us deal with some of these shortfalls we have in other areas. And there is, I think, some deeper analysis that needs to be had other than just trying to solve, the way we've traditionally, put our budget together. And so I'm hopeful that we're going to have that discussion as well. With that, Mr. Mayor, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councilman Warren. A couple questions I'd like to ask, please, Ms. Fahey. We know we have a housing crisis in the city, and we also know it's over $100,000 a unit, give or take, probably being conservative there, to help fund the construction of a single affordable housing unit. How much money do we have in the city's housing trust fund currently?
My understanding, it's about 800,000 currently.
Enough to build 5 or 6 additional units. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, just on that point, sorry to interrupt you, but this is a very important issue with SB 2 and some of the bond funds. I believe that that I raised a request that we look at bringing the housing trust back to city.
City, right.
And I think that of the money that's come in, there's a question about whether we can deliver more units and more strategically.
And I think that's a very important discussion, but wherever it lies, and I agree with your direction, by the way, wherever it lies, it will only be meaningful if it is resourced in a way that is actually meaningful. So I know the answer to these couple questions, but I want to sort of ask them rhetorically, if I might, because I think they're important. Last month, the City Council authorized $500,000 to be allocated through still being developed RFP for smaller organizations that are serving youth in our neighborhoods, correct? Is there anything in next year's budget to continue that investment?
No, that was a one-time transfer of funds.
Thank you. This past year, we had a very successful creative economy pilot project to try to bring arts and culture into our neighborhoods. And we allocated, again, $500,000. It was immensely popular. We had $7 million, I believe, worth of applications for $500,000 worth of funding. I assume the continuation of that pilot project is not in the budget either.
That is correct, Mayor.
And I asked those questions not criticizing the staff at all, because I don't think, I think that's the way it is under our static budget. We don't have the resources. So when Councilmember Chenier talks, as I do, as we all do, about investing in our neighborhoods, it is not only a great aspiration, it's an essential obligation, but it's also, at this point, a pretty hollow promise. Because I think we need to recognize that we have both an investment deficit and a budget deficit. We're a big city with big ambitions and few tools to be able to affect what you all want, what our communities want. And so again, I offer the opening to this Measure U discussion that we need to think about and act upon what series of strategies it is going to take to change that dynamic in a very real way. I have one other question for the staff here that actually would be, I think, a very helpful report back. And that is around the issues of efficiency, which was promised when the first Measure U was passed, and of course is a very important part of what we do always. Since the passage of Measure U, is it possible to bring back, if you will, to quote David Letterman, the top 10 things the city has done to create greater efficiencies within city operations, general fund or not general funded? I think that would be very useful as we have this discussion and have this debate over the months ahead. Look, so I don't want to end my comments on the downer, because I think this is an unbelievably great city with great assets, with great ambition and hunger and passion. We just need to create the policies, the culture, the environment, and the means to match the will of the people with what to actually accomplish, the means to accomplish what the people want. And I think we can do it. I know we can. Till next time, thank you. Let us move on then. That is the council. Do we need to vote to, it's just to receive and file. Very good. Okay. Good work again, team. Appreciate it. All right. That's the end of the formal council agenda. We do have council ideas and questions. We have a number of council members. Councilmember Carr.
Thank you, Mayor. Two good news stories. First, tomorrow at 6 p.m. we are opening Richfield Park. It's a complete park renovation. We're adding a playground, a shade structure, exercise equipment. We have a piece of art that's being donated by the Arts Commission. It will be at 6 p.m. at 1900 Expedition Way. The mayor's going to be there to cut the ribbon, and I invite all of you to come and everyone in District 8 to come. Second piece of good news is Keller Williams Realty. The realty company is donating their labor and their services to completely renovate the Mack Road Community Center, Mack Road Valley High Community Center. We expect to have over 150 volunteers. They've raised over $10,000. They're going to completely renovate the community center, painting, flooring, shelving. They have dedicated, donated computers. We're going to redo the soccer field, redo the bikes, the bike racks, and add a bike shop. So that's going to take place Thursday from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Mack Road Valley High Community Center at 7833 Center Parkway. Hope to see you there.
Thank you very much. I look forward to being there, I think, tomorrow night. I think I'm coming.
Cut some ribbons.
Yeah.
You're going to cut the ribbon.
What? Councilman Chenier.
Thanks, Mayor. Just two quick announcements. Thursday night, we are having a community meeting in Mangan Park, in the park at 6 p.m., and we'll be talking about updates on the tree nursery, updates on the park, looking at a master plan for the park and what to do with the building that was previously used for a gun range. And then Friday night, Peace Walk. This month, we're at Shiloh Baptist Church at 5 p.m.
Very good. Councilman Guerra.
Just one quick announcement, and a few quick announcements here. And but first, a point of privilege, Mr. Mayor. Want to congratulate my little sister on her recent wedding and her marriage.
Hey,
so, very happy
fabulous.
for you. Love you, sis, if you're out there. Te quiero mucho, carnalita. And for my family who came in from Mexico, bienvenidos a Sacramento. It's a great place.
Wonderful.
Have fun, and don't get lost in old Sacramento. Yeah, exactly. So just for the announcements for the neighborhood here, tomorrow night, we're going to have the joint meeting of the Avondale, Glen Elder, and Southeast Village Neighborhood Association at 6 p.m. at the George Hims Community Center. I want to thank Emily Halkin and Supervisor Kennedy for coming out also, and we're going to discuss the issue of homelessness. Save the date for Saturday, March 19th at 9 a.m. We're going to start the day off by the Keep Stockton Boulevard Clean 2018 event, where we go out there and get community involvement to help pick up the trash on Stockton Boulevard and keep the place clean. We've got T-shirts, breakfast, and lunch. But I would say avoid the breakfast, because go out and clean, and then clean for a little bit, and then go to the Tahoe Park Pancake Breakfast. Get yourself some pancakes at 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock at Tahoe Elementary School. Let's support our elementary school and some good fellowship with the neighborhood. And then finally, save the date for the College Glen food truck event over on Glenbrook Park on May 16th at 5 p.m. to 8 o'clock. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councilmember. Councilmember Harris.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of brief ones. Food Truck Mania continues at McKinley Park this Friday, May 11th, from 5 to 9 p.m. It's always a lot of fun. And Hot Spots for the youngsters this Friday, May 11th, from 7 to 11 p.m. at Rio Tierra Junior High School, 3201 Northstead. It's for teens from 13 to 19, and a very popular program.
Sorry.
Thank you,
Councilmember
Mayor.
Jennings. Yeah. sir.
Thank you very much. Two quick announcements. On Saturday, May the 12th, we're going to have the Sacramento River Parkway cleanup. It's going to take place from 9 to 1 p.m. at the Garcia Bend Park. You can join the entire Team 7 and our Parks Commissioner, Devin Lavelle, for a fun morning of cleanup of the Sacramento River Parkway. And tools and all the bags will be provided. If you'd like more information, contact my office at 808-7007. We'll be more than happy to have you out there. Have a great time on the River Parkway. And then also on Saturday, May the 12th, the JFK 50th Anniversary Picnic Day Celebration from 11 to 2 p.m. Now, I did say the 50th Anniversary Picnic Celebration. That's right. Friends and alumni of JFK High School are invited to attend this celebration on the founding of JFK. You're going to join current and past students, teachers, and staff for an afternoon of food, games, history, and reconnecting. We encourage you to bring out your blankets and your chairs. We're going to have a great time at Kennedy High School, and it's going to be a wonderful day of celebrating 50 years of JFK High School in Sacramento.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Ashby, last but not least.
Mayor, I have two really important announcements. The first one is Happy Mother's Day, Susanna and Mindy, and all of the moms that work for the city and live in Sacramento. Yep, and there are many in the room. Fran, I see Shannon back there, lots of moms. And this weekend, it's also my just reminder to all of you that it's Mother's Day. Howard. And then the second announcement is even more important. She is watching right now. She didn't watch earlier, but her daddy just turned on the TV. And tomorrow is Aaliyah's 5th birthday. So I want to tell that little girl, happy birthday, and I will be home in a few minutes, and I love you very much.
Shouldn't we sing for her?
We can't. She's watching right now.
Don't you think we should do that?
Let's
can.
do it.
Let's do it.
Okay.
No. He just turned it on.
I will.
Yeah, let's do it.
I will lip sync. Go ahead.
Oh, sing. Yeah.
Oh.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Aaliyah. Happy birthday to you.
5.
5.
That's fabulous. Give her a big hug. Okay, we do have to end on a more somber note. I'm sorry. Councilmember Warren has an adjourned in memory, and then we will adjourn. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. One of our former city employees who was the head of our HR department for a number of years, Ms. Jerry Hamby, her mother passed away recently. And this council, and I'm thankful, and even more important, Ms. Hamby and her family are very thankful that this council has issued a resolution for the family of Miss Lola S. Tatum, who would have been 95 years old on June 10th of this year. So she lived a fabulous life. She raised a wonderful daughter, granddaughter, and also has had 2 great-grandchildren. And so I think it's very appropriate that the council is adjourning tonight in the memory of the loving Miss Lola S. Tatum, who was Jerry Hamby's mother. So thank you, council,
for bringing that forward, and our condolences to the family, to Jerry and the family.
Very good.
All right. We are adjourned.